Hello and welcome back to the Raspberry Podcast. Today I'm joined by Ben Poppleton. Ben is about as old school as it gets when it comes to UK Jiu-Jitsu. He's been training since as long as Jiu-Jitsu's been in the country pretty much. He's one of the very first people in the country to get their black belt, and he actually spent a lot of time in Brazil with the Gracies way back in the day. So he has some really cool stories. I've been wanting to get Ben on the podcast for a really long time. Finally, our schedules are lined up, and I managed to have a sit down and a chat with him, which I really, really enjoyed. He's a pretty legendary character in UK Jiu-Jitsu, especially up north, where they view him as pretty much like Ned Stark, but slightly more alive. But I had a really good time chatting to Ben, and I hope you guys enjoy listening. Check it out. Cool, man.
Excellent.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Firstly, Ben, been really looking forward to doing this for ages. How you been?
I'm all right. I think you're going to regret this immensely.
Do you know what I want to get sorted first? Are you the first UK BJJ black belt?
I don't think so. I think I'm the first one that got it from a Gracie.
Definitely the first one got it in Brazil. The first one who got it from a Gracie. Because what year did you get your black belt?
Very early 2006.
Okay.
So I know for a fact that on UK soil, Mauricio gave it to Rick and Jude
and Mark
before me. And I'm pretty sure that you also had, is it Scott Goddard and I think somebody, Jamie Walsh, but I think they'd moved to the USA. So I'm pretty sure they were US residents at the time. And then you've got Roger Brooking.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure he was a Brazilian resident as well.
Yeah.
So the first one I think was actually Jude. And I think
he was because in front of the queue.
But I think it was because of alphabetical order. So he was lucky in that regard.
Really?
I think about it. Is that right? Does that make sense? Rick Young, Mark Walder? Yeah. Samuels, yeah. So I think he got it first, but whenever I meet Jude, I always remind him that I got mine off a Gracie first, so it don't count. But he's bigger than me,
he is.
So I smile about it, or he'll kick the shit out of me. Yeah.
So I'm really, you're a massive part of UK Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu history, and one of the things that I never intended to do, but I managed to do with this podcast was to create this incredible, almost a database, a recollection of UK Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu history.
And why not?
Exactly, absolutely, and whilst still having the people who were pioneers of the sport at the early days, like yourself, like Jude, like Mark.
I won't come as a pioneer. I'd like him to it being a field and me being a dog shit, innit? I just happened to be there. But yeah.
But that's it. Sometimes that's all it needs to be a pioneer, is you just got to be in the right place at the right time, right? Yeah, and early enough. Yeah. So a real pleasure to sit down and chat with you today and kind of fill in another piece of that puzzle.
More than a pleasure.
So let's start off with how you got into martial arts. Let's start off with you younger,
Yeah, I get asked that a few times. I don't think it's any different to everybody else, to be honest. Young lads fight, don't they? And if you've got anybody in your family that did it, you did it even more.
Yeah.
My dad is probably weirder than me, which is hard to guess. He looks like Yoda with Farahs on. And he trained all of his life. I mean, he did powerlifting when he was 16, 17, boxed, wrestled, all sorts of crap.
Wow.
So from being a kid, I was always, involved in, how could I say it, sort of the idea of combat and scrapping.
Sure, yeah.
And I watch what you do and it makes me smile, like you've got your own setup for training, and it reminds me of being a kid, and I got my dad to put he's got a big farmhouse with a big back garden, and I got him to put a spotlight in yard. So at night on winters, I could drag a tyre up and down.
Awesome.
Like a nutcase. I'm in 11. Yeah. Jesus, I should have had better. I should have been sat indoors playing with myself, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Not me, I was dragging tyres up and down. So then it came to, so boxing first. Right. So we started that. Never really any good. Not really. Amateur. No good, really.
You fought amateur?
Never fought.
Okay.
But it's bad. In the town, loads of decent boxing gyms. Used to go down to them. And I had a friend as well, a very, very, very close friend. To be honest, he's always been there, so it might be more of a habit than a friendship, to be honest.
Sure.
He's just there,
like
having something in your pocket that you're not getting rid of.
Yeah.
And he used to box as well. So by the time we got to what I would say the late teens, we used to end up training together. Yeah. And we'd box a lot in gardens and in summer in parks. And when our friends started renting houses in their back gardens and their front gardens.
Yeah.
And we used to just enjoy scrapping. Sometimes we would be drunk, and we used the big 16-ounce gloves. And we noticed very early on that you ended up getting hold of each other and scuffling.
Sure.
And down we went. And when we were kids, they don't have it anymore, but what happened in the 70s and 80s is the catch wrestlers went on World of Sport and Grandstand and other Saturday morning television programs.
Wow, I did
And they
not
used to
know
have
that.
wrestling on.
Yeah.
Mick McManus, Big Daddy, Giant Haystacks,
yeah. Like pro wrestling.
Brian Glover, was it? Yeah. And so you'd have, it was a farce, but it was actually proper stuff. The sort of man you wouldn't want to actually have a fight with.
It's not like WWE now.
Yeah, but
It's like pro wrestling, but more realistic moves.
Imagine, yeah. Well, I'd say it was the same, but it was not the equivalent, but like it's Kurt Angle.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's doing WWE, but it's still Kurt Angle.
Yeah,
You know, not as
yeah.
bad, because these
Yeah.
guys weren't Olympic champions. But anyway, so we were aware that we were wrestling a lot as well. And especially in the summer when you'd hit the floor and you rip the gloves off and a few times the police used to come to the park.
No way.
Well, there's nothing they could do. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm fighting with my mate.
Yeah.
What's wrong with
Yeah.
you? Go away.
Yeah.
And we were very aware that this was important as well. We figured out quick that you seemed to grapple a lot here,
Yeah.
more than you were actually swinging your hands.
Yeah.
So we'd train a lot boxing. And like I said, we weren't really any good, but every time we trained boxing, it was reasonably productive because we'd spar, we'd hold the pads, we'd go through the movements probably. And when it came to the grappling, it was just pretty much like polishing a turd.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we were doing at all.
Sure.
And it were actually my mate Dwayne that said, we need really to get a bit of homework, mate. You know, like, let's find out what to do. And in the north of England, where we were from, there's a strong pedigree of grappling.
Yeah.
You go over the hills into Lancashire, I mean, you've got the men that taught Kimura the Kimura.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Yeah.
And on my side, we had a very strong pedigree from judo. Very, very strong.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, I really need to check this. I think the original judo hall in Doncaster, I'm pretty sure it was the third one in the country.
Wow.
After the Budokai.
Budokai's first.
And then the other one down here, which I forget what it is.
Sure. I'm
Was
not
it
sure.
Percy Sakane had the other one?
I'm not sure. I know.
Simon Hayes will correct this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the Budokai is like the oldest
oldest
dojo
one.
in Europe or something
But
like
then
that.
they opened another one down in London as
Okay.
well. And then I'm pretty sure Doncaster was
Wow.
the next, this little market town
Yeah.
in a shithole in the north. And when you walked into that dojo, you had that similar sort of smell and sort of sensation and flavour that you get when you walk into Budokai. That there's almost like a ghost in the air of this, ooh, this is nice.
Yeah.
Strange pictures on wall. And
Yeah.
you feel a bit intimidated, like,
Yeah.
whoa, I feel a bit fluttery here. So anyway, you're going back to early 90s now, and judo had died a death. It had been taken over by, I think, Bruce Lee, and then the Power Rangers stuff, and everybody wanted to be taking on 6 men in a circle and kicking their heads in the air.
Yeah.
So we went down one Saturday, and it turned out a guy called Mick Pearson were in the lesson. Only a little fella. He'd been in his mid-40s at the time, about 5, 6. I mean, thinking new money, he'd have been about maybe 70 kilos.
Yeah.
But he was national standard.
Yeah.
And he had a pension for groundwork, which were lucky for Niwaza. So we had a quick chat with him. Doncaster lads were Doncaster lads, and we were just chatting, saying, we do this, we do that, and we need to know a bit about grappling.
How old were you at this point?
24, 25, maybe a bit younger.
Sure.
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Dwayne.
Yeah.
He'll know. In fact, he won't, because he's a drunk, he'll forgot. And so Mick picked up on this. And
Yeah.
he were like, right, yeah, so you want more Niwaza stand ground technique than standing area, but we'll... And there wasn't anybody there. There were me and my mate and Mick and one other kid. No, 2 other kids, 2 other lads, on a Saturday morning. And that was brilliant. So he showed us a few standing bits, but then he went into groundwork and he showed us, first time we'd ever worn a gi, and he showed us a turnover, a sweep, and a strangle.
Yeah.
Awesome. We were like, right, just like you were with me today. That's enough. We're going to go and work on this. Leave it that to me for 6 months. We'll have this down. Right?
Yeah.
Then we got to spar as well. So when we got paired up with each other, it was just a shitstorm. Youngest, fittest, biggest one won.
Yeah.
Grunt, 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 fart, get off me. You know, yeah. It just a mass of sweat and BO. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then when you got paired up with Mick, he just fucking murdered you.
Yeah.
Just murdered. And we were like, this is ace.
Humbling.
Oh, murdered you. Yeah. Humbling and just
Yeah.
like, this is, got to learn this. Right. So we started to incorporate that a lot into us, what we were doing. We were training, right? So we'd do the same sort of training, but now we had a bit something to polish. We weren't polishing a turd anymore.
Yeah.
And we became aware that the more we trained, the more we were actually doing that as opposed to swinging his hands and feet about. Yeah, so we thought we need to actually pick this up. And we were getting into it as well because we realised how knackered it made you. I mean, boxing's bad enough.
Yeah.
But the first time you grapple, it actually shocks you, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, when you're putting everything into it.
You feel like you're drowning.
Yeah.
And there's
doesn't matter
go.
how fit you are.
It's awful.
When you can't control your output, you're going to be fucked
it's an awful
in 2
thing.
minutes.
And then he sits on your lungs, Dan.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is actually worrying.
Yeah.
I better find an happy place here. You know, yeah. It's a terrible fucking... You feel like you need counselling, don't you?
Yeah.
You can come off that mat and think, fuck it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not the man I thought I was, you know.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of lads don't come back.
Sure.
Jiu-jitsu for everybody. Fuck off.
Yeah.
It's not.
100%.
Anyway, yeah, so we got more and more into this. And we started playing more sessions at Judo Club. And I don't know why, but it started to pick up. There ended up being more bodies on the mat. And we were aware we needed to do more and more. And we'd heard stories that there were another guy in the area that would take it to a different level on the floor. We only heard stories about what he'd done in some champions. He's an Olympian. Bear in mind as well, Dan, we're talking about the original form of Olympic judo, which was very similar to watching Kosen judo.
Yeah.
If you put the 1980s Olympics on and you put it in grainy black and white, you'd think it were hundreds of years ago. They're on that mat. When they hit that mat, they just keep going for minutes.
Really?
And minutes. They don't get stood up.
Yeah.
And there's no stripping grips standing by the ref.
Yeah.
There's no stop. That's illegal. They just kept going. It looked like watching a freestyle Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match that was a desafio, like a challenge fight.
Yeah.
And that's what we entered into. And so I got told there's one guy in particular hanging around that would just, you think this is good? Whoa. And we just kept training. And one day we were on the mat and it was actually summer by this time because I remember how stinky and sweaty it was. And there was a bit of a sort of change in the flavour. And because he'd come in with his missus and just sat watching. And people were saying, that's him. That's Gorthorpe. There. And with short blonde hair there. Yeah. That's him. That's the guy. That's the guy that strangled that guy to death. That's the blah, 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 blah. Right. And I'm watching. I'm thinking, and I'm getting on with training. Try not to be disrespectful because it's a bit different than to it is now.
Sure.
You couldn't bring your bottle of water onto that. You couldn't tie your belt without facing the wall. It was all correct.
Yeah.
Some little rules that were constant throughout the world, you know. You didn't leave them out without asking. You know. Anyway. And so anyway, it finished, it'd gone. And this is in 90s. Nobody really had a mobile phone. And if they did, it was fucking size of an house brick. And you lads are probably too young to remember that.
Yeah.
They were about as big as me, mobile phones. And they cost about $8,000 a week, I think, to run. So you actually physically find somebody.
Sure.
I remember being a young'un and we had to go out and find your friends, you know.
Yeah.
Knocking on doors. When you found him on a Saturday, you cheered. Hey, they're here. Different to now. So I'm looking for this guy. People knew him, what he was doing with judo.
Yeah.
But it was like 2 ships passing at night. I couldn't ever find him. Where's he live? Don't know. I know he's moved house. And then me and another friend of mine, Charlie Martin, he's another big name in Doncaster, trained a long time. He started training with what we were doing as well, because he was a good boxer and Thai boxer, Charlie. And we were also using the back room of a powerlifters gym in Doncaster called New Bodies. And New Bodies gym was full of proper lifters, be it bodybuilders or powerlifters. It was a proper spit and sawdust gym.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, all the proper kit, and at the end of it, there was a little back room that had bags in with a little sliding door. And going through there were like walking into Beirut in the 90s. It were like falling off end of fucking world. I'm not kidding you. There were just mould on the ceilings and a fucking wasp's nest and shitty window that were half cracked and the guy spraying paint on cars below you so all fumes were coming through the window and just a carpet on the floor. And but we used to use that to training. So me and Charlie would go in there and we'd kit on, gis on, and we'd train, spar, blah, blah. And one day in an afternoon, so nobody ever went in there, and especially not in an afternoon. You wouldn't see them coming, right? There had no reason to go in there. Maybe on a weekend, or maybe on a night time, but 2 o'clock in the afternoon, no way. And for some reason, me and Charlie were in there with sparring, and we happened to be just fucking around with the Jujigatame from the tate, the straight arm lock from the mount.
Yeah.
And we were practicing it before we did some sparring, and I noticed that the sliding door had come on, and somebody had stood inside and were watching us. It was just in my peripheral. And I turned my head, and like you would, because why are you doing it? I went, you all right? And he just went, being a northern man, I picked up on the accent, and he went, aye. And this fella always misses out the definite article. He says, I'm just watching the arm lock. And I went, now why would he mention that? Why would he know what we were doing? And I looked at him and I thought, I know that accent. I said, is it Gorthorpe? And he went, Aye. I thought, this is ridiculous, right? We're doing his arm lock, right? Yeah. And he's stood here, and I've been looking for him. I just jumped straight up. I said to Charlie didn't have a clue who he was. I said, just wait there. So will you come and show us? And he went, aye. Which means yes in the southern folk.
Yeah.
I've always feel like better when I say yes. Because I won't ever say it, I'd say aye. But people just say yes, hi. No, anyway.
I've watched enough Game of Thrones. I'm
all right,
I'm on board with that.
You're on board. Right. Sean Bean. Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. So he shot down, and first thing he said was, you're making a fucking meal of this. And I thought, we're in here. This is going to be great. So then I started blagging him. Can I come and train with you?
Yeah.
Aye, he says, I'll take you with me. And he lived in spitting distance from my mum's house. Wow. That's where he'd moved.
Yeah.
So I was all the time on his door. Can I go with, yeah, come on. Come around tomorrow night, we'll take you here. And he took me to the judo gyms that he used to go to train and spar. And it was phenomenal. Because... you'll know this yourself, Dan, before you got to be world class as you've got, which I think is fantastic, the level you've achieved. I'm not licking your arse here, it's just a fact.
Thank you.
It's great in the beginning, isn't it, that with our game, unlike most other sports, you get to have a kick around with Beckham.
Yeah, 100%.
People don't get that.
Yes.
You're like, that's a world champion or Olympic champion, whatever, and you can have a go in.
Yeah. He's
on your mat, talking to you in changing room.
Yeah.
You don't get that on Sunday League football.
Absolutely not.
You don't go down at golf club and Tiger Woods is doing around.
Nope.
It don't happen. It definitely don't let you hold his clubs.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Anyway, that's not a sexual euphemism. Whatever gets you going then, mate. It's all right. Yeah, Anyway, so what we're up to. He used to take us around to these particular clubs. And there'd be some right fellas there. And often it was split up between the standing and the ground. And my standing were always shite. I never ever graded in judo.
Wow.
I often said to people that of all Steve's students, I'm the only one that went to the dark side.
Yeah.
I went to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Sure.
All his others are Olympic judoka.
Yeah.
But men like Fallon,
yeah,
he won the worlds in judo.
Gorthorpe went to Jiu-Jitsu as well.
He did in the end because he got old and knackered. I've got some funny stories about it. I know you did. I've got some funny stories. Do you? I'll tell you what I know about when he went down there because it's funny.
Yeah, go on.
Because he might not have told you. I'll get to that in a minute. Remember?
Okay. Yeah.
Fishing. Yeah. If you don't remember that, we're going to kick you out. And sit outside. Touch your toe. Bend over and touch your toe. Yeah, we're up to. Yeah, so he used to take me around to these gyms. So often in car, I'm getting stories as well up and down motorways because we're just driving around the north. And in the north, the motorway system's fast. It's not like being stuck on M25, sure. So you can get between the big cities quite quick. And he's taking me to these gyms, and you're bumping into these legendary men who actually developed these positions. And as you'll know, Dan, men like yourself, you've not just trained incredibly hard to learn what you know. You're also a genetic specimen, and you have to be to get to that top tier. So you're getting I was getting these skills often from the men that had developed them that were genetic freaks. So the Eckersley hold, which was the development, the Brazilians call it an S mount.
Sure.
But the Eckie hold from Neil Eckersley, he slid onto the lung, and I learnt it off him in Pudsey. He was doing a lesson. So you imagine me for 25 minutes until he just said, just fuck off. I've had enough of you. Let me talk to someone else. That was so each time he took me to a spot, Steve.
You try and absorb the information.
Oh, jeez. I mean, I was worse than I am now.
Yeah.
It was like I'd had 30 coffees and I was just an irritating little brother in the corner. Oh, I swear to God. But Steve used to find it funny. So we'd often get there, and now we're only interested in the last hour. But when it came to groundwork in judo back then, if you wanted to, you could leave the mat. So the only lads that were still on the mat were them that wanted to be there because they liked it. So they're fucking good at it. Or they'd have gone on. So you're only left with them that were, and they always had a game. And they got you with a plan B. Yeah. Plan A, sorry, every time. And you met some awesome blokes, and you got battered and knocked around. And that's how it started. I got introduced. And I mean, I remember the first time that Steve actually went full on with me.
Yeah.
And that was in Pudsey as well.
Yeah.
And that just altered perception because there's no flow roll, as they call it. I often said to people that when I first came back from Brazil, I'd not heard the term.
Yeah.
And somebody said to me, do you want a roll? And I said, no, I'm not hungry. I've had my dinner. I had no idea.
The term roll?
Roll.
When
I thought he was offering me a sandwich.
When did that come in then?
I've no idea. You tell me.
It's not from Brazil.
I have no idea. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what...
Interesting.
Yeah. Roll, no idea. So Steve, yeah.
It must have been an American thing then.
I don't know. Maybe.
Must have been.
Maybe. I'd never heard it. Yeah. I heard it when I came really back full time. You know? Yeah, and I got to... They only ever went full bollock. Same as the Gracies do. Yeah. And if you wanted to slow it down, you basically did it in position.
Yeah.
You played a game. So you still used maximum power and maybe just slowed the velocity a bit.
Sure.
But you never, ever played.
Yeah.
Unless you were warming up for 2 minutes. Right, that's enough of that. Because you're creating a terrible memory map.
Sure.
And that's what you'll do. Steve used to always say it's got its place in a warm-up.
Yeah.
But if you get used to doing that, that's all you'll ever do. You've got to be ready that your go-to reset is full power up, go.
Yeah.
He often used to say that if you didn't do that and you got incredibly skilled, somebody less skilled than you
will beat you
up with it.
Tenacity.
They'd just run you over.
Yeah.
And you'd shit yourself like a car crash. And I've been there. Because the first spar with Steve was just absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, it just ripped me a new arsehole, basically, you know.
Yeah.
But the intention he had was just, my God, staring at you the whole time.
Well, I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, actually, about the intensity of judo and wrestling compared to jiu-jitsu.
It's very important.
And I think that a lot of it comes from the fact that the sport is just very different. Like, you know, how long's a judo match? 5 minutes? Wrestling match is 3 minutes, I think. Whereas you have a 10-minute jiu-jitsu match, 15 minutes on Polaris, 20 minutes on Metamoris, no time limit on another one.
So
you know,
true.
So that sort of the sport itself defines the culture and the intensity that people train at.
Of course.
You can't, and the fact that you're on the ground, you know, just the very function of the sport, on the ground you can rest. You can't rest standing up.
That's true.
If you rest when you're standing, you're getting put in your head.
But what I noticed with you guys, that's true. I think I wrote that in something that we put out, didn't I? They get thrown on your head in standing.
Yeah.
Something I noticed with the guys at the top level like yourself, though, is even when you're resting, you're still grip fighting.
Sure.
And I think a lot of beginners that come in, they don't realise, they don't see the three basic phases of grappling: the grip fight, the posture break, then the move. And because, like you just said, you get thrown hard.
Yeah.
If you're in a standing martial art that grapples, the consequences are devastating.
Yes.
I mean, it could be the end of your life.
Yeah.
Be thrown on your head, and it definitely be the end of the fight.
Yeah.
So the first two phases of the grip fight becomes so important. So when you grapple and spar with world-class judoka or wrestlers, you can't get anywhere in phase 1 and phase 2.
No.
You feel like a kid in a playground being swung around by your coattails. It's a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
And like you said, it becomes sat on the ground. It's different, and I see a lot of like a lackadaisical approach where I think you don't see that in judo and in wrestling because you wouldn't get away with it. So they're very, very trained straight off. The training is the thought process is I must be very good at the first couple of phases where the engagement takes place. And you feel it in them. And you see it in the UFC.
Yeah.
You see these great wrestlers and they just don't let the other guy get any momentum.
Yeah.
You know,
they never get out of the first
not
gear.
at all. And when I say wrestlers, I mean any ground wrestlers. Damien Maia did it to him, and he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu man. Just got in front.
Yeah.
And the other guy couldn't gain momentum. Anybody that wants to flow roll, it's good for a warm-up, but I tell you what, you'll struggle if that's all you're doing.
Well, if you're going to roll with that low intensity, you better hope that the person you're up against is equal in that intensity.
Does the same, mate. And he won't.
Yeah.
If he's good, he won't. You don't.
Yeah.
I watched you.
Yeah.
Your eyes are always on. I've watched you when you sat away from your opponent.
Yeah.
You're switched on. I've noticed you sat away from them and you're on your ass. You know, when you fight, you're switched on. Yeah. You're slowed down, but your brain hasn't changed gear. It's going at 100 mile an hour because you're at the level you're at. You know that if that first phase goes wrong, whoa, God help you.
Yeah,
it goes wrong quick, doesn't
Absolutely,
it?
yeah.
It goes wrong quick. Yeah. I'm aware of that.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
yeah. You know, so you're talking about Steve. So for those who don't know who Steve Gawthorpe is, he's like a legendary judo character. Yeah. But you mentioned it briefly, like he had And I'm hoping that one day I can get him on the podcast as well to chat a little bit because he's a cool guy. But he killed someone in a judo competition or almost or like.
Man, I tell you what, the thing is,
he came back to life, didn't he?
If you people spar with him now, young men spar with him now. The flow roller generation, not the young lads like yourself that are mean. The flow roller generation spar him at 60 and come off that mat,
it's brilliant,
looking like they need to see a doctor, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah. How old's Steve now?
He must be 60.
Yeah. And I rolled with him a few years ago, and
I bet you sped up quick after the first few seconds.
Do you know what?
I already caught you.
I didn't even go in soft because the whole time everyone had been telling me about Judo Steve. Don't fuck with Judo Steve.
No, if it gets you round, he's taking it home, Steve. And he'll take it home.
He's going to beat you up. And, you know, those hands that have been
like fucking Gollum
and choking
like
and
Gollum
barring, and he puts those hands on you and like, okay,
you're not stripping that.
You got to go legit.
You're not stripping
You got to go legit.
You're not stripping that. Yeah.
But I also enjoyed watching him roll with some other people who weren't ready for that
and just absolutely
smashing
murder them. Absolutely smashing them. So I say to these young lads, right now, imagine him 25 years ago.
God damn! Like I don't even want to.
I tell you what,
I'm very glad I was born where I was born.
Absolutely no idea what it was like. Right? Honestly, you've got no idea.
I can imagine it.
It was fucking terrifying.
If I can roll half as good as Steve is at 60 years old, I'll be very, very, very happy.
True.
Yeah.
Very so happy. I see these young lads and they're like, and I'm like, mate, it's you've got no idea what it was like.
Yeah.
Like, if you even go back 15 year or 10 year, this is a story from Paul Cole, which you won't mind me telling. My old fella's got an old, what I could call a wooden structure built in his backyard for training in. It's a decent matted area, and over the years there's been some serious names on that mat training. And especially on Sundays, people would just turn up. So there might be 6, 7 black belts and some Brazilians and Olympian and and so sometimes Steve would turn up to train. So this one particular Sunday, there were a few lower belts down there, and Steve had come, and I think he'd just turned up just to talk some crap with my dad.
Yeah,
and he weren't bothered about training. I think he'd been B&Q or something like that. And he sat on my dad out row, and they're just talking shit in the corner. So Steve would have been, it must be about 10 years ago, maybe a bit more. And I'd something to fire up his ass, and he thought, I fancy a bit of a rumble, as he used to call it.
A rumble.
Yeah. And he'd just picked up a gi off. They were gis on pegs, belts on pegs, and he just picked a gi near his belt and just put a white belt on. And one of the lads weren't training. This was Paul Cole. And Steve went, do you want to go? And Paul
didn't know who he was?
No. Listen to this.
He's wearing a white belt.
Yeah, so Paul had said, yeah. So as they walked across the mat, Paul we were only a young lad.
Yeah.
I think he was a blue belt at the time. We were only a young lad. And my dad had said, aiming at Steve, don't hurt him.
Yeah.
Paul had said, don't worry, I won't. Yeah, right. So I sat on the floor and just watched.
I can just imagine the grin on Steve's face.
This unfold. Well, the first thing he said to Paul, are you ready? Right, and fucking hell. Right, so I mean, bless him. So then me and my dad had sat backside at Matt, and Paul, it finished, it ended, the spectacle ended, and Paul just brought his way over to sat, and he was sat between me and my dad. And I think my dad felt sort of I wouldn't say responsible, but the lads are in his house as a young kid, sort of like, and he just slapped him on the thigh. I mean, Paul just had this expression on his face. It were hard to put it into words. It were like,
what the fuck?
He were defeated, but also a sense of lack of achievement. Like you've been for a massive shit and just farted as well, but also shocked. And he was sat next to us, and my dad slapped his thigh, and he just went, "You all right, son?" And he didn't even. His eyes just were fixed forward, and he just went, I feel like I've been beat up by my granddad. Just what it looked like. Yeah. I mean, I know that when he first went down to live in Cornwall, to live in Newquay, he's always loved it down there, Steve.
Yeah.
And he told me that he walked into the judo club down there to inquire about, training, and they basically just ignored him, and he just thought, well, fuck you then.
No way.
And he says, I thought, because of Ben and that, I know what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, I understand their form, I'll go to one of their clubs.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
So he went and found Nick Tisco in Cornwall and went in there. And the funny story is, I'll try and get it right. Nick'll get this right, but this is the gist I got of it. It's something along the lines of, one of the lads down there, I think it was Elliot, did a bit of amateur photography.
Yes. And
he took them right grainy images of... Yeah. And there's one of Steve on the wall, and it's because of something, and it's got something written underneath it. It's because of something that happened. So apparently, when he first went down there, obviously he's got his a plain blue gi on and a white belt.
Yeah.
And they've done the lesson, and then it's sparring time. And I think it was Rebecca that were telling me the story, the black belt down there lady.
Uh-huh.
And she's apparently were watching what was going on, and so one of the young lads have paired up to spar, have shook hands, and they've said to Steve, do you know what we're doing? And Steve just said, I have done a bit. And then it took place, whatever you want to call it, yeah. And it made everybody laugh because they became aware who he was. And apparently on Elliot's picture, it's this grainy image of Steve on the wall with showing his scars. And it just says, Steve Gawthorpe, Armlock legend, Olympic judoka. He's done a bit. Which I think is really cool. Yeah,
Steve was such an awesome guy when I went down and when I trained with him down there. So
he's incredible. Arm locking wise,
they say, and so many people talk about Steve. You know, such an old school character, such a legendary character. And they said some of the best arm bars in the world.
Well, yes, when it comes to the arm lock, you've only really got Neil Adams that could maybe show you a little bit more. And that's debatable because I think Steve was just a weight down from Neil Adams.
Yeah.
So Neil Adams was a king and Steve was the guy helping the king.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, I think Steve once said to me, he could slow me down considerably, but he'd get there in end.
Yeah.
That's why he put their encounters on the ground. He says he was the one. Neil was the one. But Steve was developing it at the same. From what I guess happened, from what the account of what they've told me, is that they saw Yatskovich execute the roll into the arm lock. And because it was back in the day and you couldn't record it, they all saw it, sat together, and all picked up different stuff and developed it slightly differently.
Sure.
So Adams' turn is slightly different. Steve's is a bit different again. Ecker's is a bit different. But it's all phenomenally brutal, as it must be when you're facing other genetic freaks. If it's not brutal, it doesn't work. But then you got the story on about with the Romanian, with the strangle.
Yes.
Yeah, well, fucking hell, yeah. I was digging this out of him for a while. I got most of this off him driving in his car to training one night. Because I was just picking his brain about what happened, and he told me it all. Yeah, so
this is like a famous incident.
Oh, Jesus, God, yeah, it's in books.
Yeah,
and it's the stills of the actual fight as well.
Yeah, I think I've seen.
You know, like you're watching a cartoon. Yeah, like a flow diagram. So yeah, I think it was the European Championships '83.
Okay,
I think it was in Liège in Belgium, however you pronounce it. I apologise if I get it wrong. And I think it was semis or quarter-final. A young Romanian guy, Elisa Ban, it was, yeah. So Steve, right, so this is what he said. He said, I knocked him down, got him down. He said, he was quite tasty standing, so I knocked him down early, basically on him to groundwork, and just hit the arm lock fast. Wanted to get him done. Rolled him, tapped, that's it. It was funny because we'd actually pulled up to traffic lights as he were talking to me like this. And sorry, we were pulling up to traffic lights, but it got to that point. And as he was starting to stop and knock it into neutral, I'll never forget it because it was so menacing how he put it, but funny. Because he said, yeah, but he was still driving. He said, and he told referee and tapped, they didn't give in.
Yeah.
Lousy bastard, he says. He says, and there were no real recordings, you couldn't play it back. And he knew he tapped.
Yeah.
He says, so they start us off again from middle like Matt, like no, it happened. And he put it into neutral and pulled handbrake on and just looked at me and he just went, we weren't in the best of moods. That's what he said to me. I thought, fucking hell, yeah. Yeah, so he says we kicked off again. He says, and I managed to knock him down again pretty quick. But I'd got him, he'd sort of scrambled and got on top. He said, but I had a strangle on. Steve weren't really famous for strangles.
Yeah.
He were an arm locker.
Yeah.
But if you've ever trained me like you've had, Dan, he's like fucking Gollum.
Yes.
And everything on him, he's like hitting a table.
Yeah.
Everything on him's an edge.
Yeah.
Isn't it? He's like he's designed to hurt you.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's such a good way to put it.
He's just like he's like a bone with a ligament wrapped around it.
Yeah, 100%.
And his hands are they're bigger than your feet.
They're massive.
It's like he's got an extra hinge.
They're thick and they're sinewy and they're
horrible.
strong and
horrible.
Just a lifetime
horrible
of
built to be a serial killer.
Yeah,
isn't it? You know. And so when he gets out of your neck, he does everything wrong because he just has to squeeze and press.
Yeah.
And if it's deep enough, your head's just going to pop off.
100%.
So he can show you a strangle because I watched that one he were doing with you with the arm lock, and I watched people trying to do it. They can't do it. You've got to be him. He puts his arm under the leg, and I just squeeze here.
And when he did it to me,
your head's going to come off. But you try, and you're like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I think he'd got him in like a variation of a cross strangle or a cross choke, as you'd call it. But basically, bowing his throat, and he'd used his feet to create like a sumigaisha, like a turn over a hook sweep. And he said to me, I flipped him over into tate, into the hold down, mount. So in Olympic judo rules, back in the day, if you got the hold down, a 30-second count started.
Wow.
And if that went through 30 seconds, you got the immediate 10-point win. Hip on, done. As if you'd thrown him on his back. But like Steve said, he says, he were out as I turned him over. In his words, I could feel him dribbling.
Yeah.
That's what he said, yeah. I think he went a bit limp and all.
Yeah.
So I turned him over, he were out. But he said, I thought he were like, trying to pull a fast one.
Sure.
He'd just done it.
Yeah.
And I thought, bollocks to this. Bollocks to this. So he said, I tucked right in and kept shoving.
Yeah.
That's basically how he said it. Shoving. And he were gone. And he said, I had a look up at ref, and you can see that in the stills. He said, I looked up at ref like, he's out. I've won. But they didn't. So 30 seconds kept going. And crowds going mad because some of them have seen he's gone. He's out. And I think somebody ran on a mat.
Wow.
But it had been 30 seconds and Steve got off him, sat cross-legged like you do. And the funny thing is the picture as they're trying to revive this guy, Steve's picking his nose. Couldn't give a shit.
So what happened?
Well, they ran on, the medical team, and did the standard revive. Nothing.
Yeah.
So they had to whisk him off quick.
Yeah.
And like Steve was saying, the crowd were very, very, very upset.
Well, they said that they had to bring him back the next day to prove that he was alive.
That's Steve's favourite bit.
Yeah.
He loves explaining that bit. They took him out, they took him into the training room, and they had to get the proper paramedics to start his heart.
Fuck.
And you see, the judo books don't mention this because it's very dishonourable for him, because they looked like save face.
Yeah.
But apparently he went twice again in ambulance.
Wow.
They had to do him again, get him back. Ba-bum. But he were all right. And like Steve says, to make sure, they brought him back into the stadium next day to prove he weren't dead.
Yeah.
Steve likes to tell you that. That's Steve's favourite bit. Yeah, so whenever he used to go, do you fancy a spar and he got your neck, you just thought,
fuck this.
I'm tapping when this comes on. Yeah, I tell you what, people have got no idea. Though. Yeah. No idea. Yeah. I know a lad up in Scarborough, and Andy Smith. He runs a jiu-jitsu club up in Scarborough, but he's from judo as well. And he was telling me how Steve were up there, I don't know if it were a few years ago, and they did a bit of sparring. And one of the lads did okay and hung in there with Steve, a young kid, and he was quite pleased with himself.
Yeah.
And at the end, Steve looked at him and said, do you know how old I am? He said, you want to be bloody ashamed? He said, even 10 years ago, and he said, I'd have fucking murdered you. Which is true. But honestly, don't give a shit. Yeah. There used to be another guy that used to come down and train with. He got a bit old and his hips were a bit knackered, so he went into groundwork, and the closest schools he could find were Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the area. Dave Bramham, lovely fella. And he said he'd done a lot of judo, travelled round as a journeyman, been to the big schools and went to the Buddha Quiet, and he always wanted to have a session and have a Randori, a spar with Gorthorpe. Always wanted one. But it just never happened. And he said he always, idolised him a bit, from the same part of the world, northern men. Big heavy set, Dave. Bit chubby sometimes. Bit nice man, but very sort of, in a way, introverted in some ways.
Sure.
He said, I always wanted to have a go with Steve. Yeah, he says, so I went down to this session at Buddha Choir, which had been advertised in judo circles. And it was the standing part of the practice. Loads of bodies on the mat, loads against the wall. And it was done in rounds. And as I made my way down the line, he says, I started to realise that if things worked out here, my turn were going to be with Gorthorpe. Couldn't be better. He says, and I realised it were going to be as it approached the end of the round.
Yeah.
He said, I was a bit nervous, but I thought, we're in the most famous setting of judo in the UK ever. It's a proper session. It's all respectful. Everybody's following the etiquette. He says, I'll be all right. So the time we called on that one, he says, it was my turn to walk onto the mat. He says, and I felt, you look after me. He says, and Gorthorpe just walked straight up to me and just went, come on then, you fat cunt. Oh, he says, it just knocked me for 6, yeah. Bless him.
Brilliant. Anyway, let's get enough on Steve. Let's get back to you. So you were training judo. When did you first get exposed to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? So grappling, ground fighting, not near Waza, not judo.
Yeah, I was. There was no real internet then, so if you wanted to read about stuff, everybody just went to W.H. Smith's and just stood there all day reading magazines.
Sure.
You'd even have a Mars bar and that can of Coke.
Yeah.
Just put it back where you found it, you know what I mean? Have my dinner while I'm there. And I was flicking through a Martial Arts Illustrated, and at the back, they used to have classifieds. And there were big, real Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was arrived in the UK, and it was the Tasmanian Devil inside the triangle.
That was the original Gracie Baja logo.
The original one, the Taz, down in Birmingham. And I thought, I've got to have a sniff at this. I've got to have a sniff.
Had you heard of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah.
Through the UFC?
Well, Me and the same guy I originally trained with. So I said, yes and I. Well,
yeah, you're getting there.
We after we'd been training a while, it was quite cool that this happened, actually, because it reinforced something, Dan. He'd come home from work, and I was laid on settee, a bit drunk, and he threw a VHS cassette on me. Get that on, he says.
Yeah.
He says, make you smile. What is it? And it was UFC 1.
Yeah.
This is mid-90s. Put it in, and we watched Gracies batter everybody, and we were like, well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we were right pleased, because we were like, we knew we were right. We knew that I'd beat that. We knew that grabbing them, it's better. You know, if it's one-on-one, you can't hit them. They grab you, over you go, you know. And so it made us sort of train more of that. But we never got the chance to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because there weren't any. But we were doing the judo stuff, you know. So when I saw that advert, I thought, I've got to. And Steve always pushed me anyway, because he always used to say, your was all right, son, your groundwork, but you're shit at standing.
Yeah.
And you need to decide if you're going to have a go or not.
Yeah.
Have a go or don't, you know. You're going to get older. Try or don't. Shit or get out of the toilet, son, you know, make your mind up. So I thought, well, I'll go and have a look at that. So I went down to Birmingham, and it was Mauricio Gomez.
Yeah. First time he was over?
Yes, first time we were over. And I got to spar with him. What I used to do is I'd go down, because it was a fair drive, and I'd go down, and the lad down there was in the old library, the lad down there were cracking all on the place. I think his name was Jason Stretton, or something like that, Stratton. And he used to let me stay overnight. So I'd get the morning lesson, the afternoon lesson, sleep on the mat, then get the morning, the afternoon, and then just go home knackered. Yeah. If that makes sense, yeah. And it was the evening session of the first day that I got that Mauricio actually sparred with me. And so I got to embrace that. It was to me, it was funny because it was famous now. There were people on the mat that were ace and good lads when I got down there. Some good names, lads that still train. And there were also people that were there because of name. And they shouldn't have been there. Sure. And some of them were knobheads. There were a couple of rich kids that were. Yeah. I'm trying to write about it now. I'm doing a bit of a book about it. I'm on about there was one kid who were incredibly condescending. He was just a complete tool. You know, I mean, I think he had plenty of money, and I just had a scabby, and I often said my white belt looked like a smackhead's tourniquet. You know what I mean? Honestly, my rash guard was a drum tobacco T-shirt that I'd got with some free fags from Benidorm. Honestly, that was my rash guard. And his gi cost more than my car. Yeah. And his hands were immaculately kept. Yeah. And that night, I got paired up with him on the mat. Others were watching, sat around. There were about 10 pairs sparring. And, well, I had a bit of a game. So I just pulled him on, flipped him. He rolled. I went into Yatskovich. Arm lock. Whack. It took that long. Not that I were ace, it was that he was shit. You know, done. Squealed off he went, and I'm left kneeling down. And I often said to people, it was amusing because I bet there were over 50 lads in that room. Wow. I bet there were over 50 lads in that room in Birmingham, right? Either sparring or watching, and Mauricio Gomez there. So we had a lot to look at. Yeah. And when I looked up, he was staring fucking straight at me. And I thought, oh, aye. Yeah. And looking back, I think he thought, he knows some stuff, him. Yeah. No, that's all I knew. That was the only thing I knew, and I just pulled it off. One trick pony to fuck. Yeah, Perfect. You know. And he just went with his finger. Yeah. He walked on the mat and he went, come and pass my guard. So I went inside his legs, and he crossed his legs and went for the arm, and I defended it, flipped me over, and I got arm locked. And I thought, took as long as that again, but I thought, I'd experienced that, it felt the same. And he did it again, but this time, he let the arm go. I defended it a bit, actually. But it's not.
Did he go knee on belly? That you hadn't felt never feel it,
because I were only really exposed to world-class arm locking. Yeah. Because that's what Arnie was, men in the north did. Yeah. There were a few strangles, but they were a bit nasty and just brutal. But they were really an arm locking culture. Turnover sweeps to arm locks. And I weren't aware this existed. And it was devastating. I was laughing as it were on. Yeah. He'll probably still remember, I was laughing as he did it. Yeah. Like, this is just... I like getting raped. I like being under a small car, you know.
Well, Mauricio's knee on belly is one of the most legendary things in I've got a story about that.
Yeah. Years later, when Jude Samuels did one of his Senny shows at Birmingham, he asked me to ref. He never fucking asked me again for good reason. I didn't have a clue. And I'm reffing a white belts match. Yeah. And it's all right. I'm sort of guessing, and somebody puts knee on belly, and I'm like, do you get points for this? I don't know. And it just so happened that at the judges' table, Mauricio were gone and sat there, and I thought, I've got it made, I can ask him. How many points is it, Mauricio? And he just went, And they were still there. And I said, how can you not know? And he went, I said, you've got the most famous neon belly of all time. How do you not know? And he went, Ben, he said, in all honesty, he said, I never heard how many points the ref were giving. He says, because of the screams of the fucking beneath it. Not with a Yorkshire accent, of course. But,
Yeah.
But anyway, he did that, and I was like, Jesus. And so I was sat at the edge of the mat with him that night, and he was basically telling me, there's lots of games, Ben, and lots of movements and directions within jiu-jitsu, within groundwork. You've seen what I'm pretty sure, actually, I don't think I'm sure, that because of his pedigree from Holes and the original Gracie family members, they embraced everything.
Yeah.
So he'd have been very, very well versed in that arm lock.
Yeah.
He'd have known the pedigree, where it came from. Because I know when Neil Adams did his seminar in the late 90s in Southern California, they were well past his prime.
Yeah.
I know some of the Gracies and the Machados went to the seminar.
Okay.
Which blew the minds of people in the seminar.
Sure.
Neil Adams didn't even know who they were.
Yeah.
Because they'd come to see his arm lock. Because he was the best man in the world in that way. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure Mauricio would have known what that was. So I think he thought...
Some judo influence.
Yeah. I think Mauricio would have thought, what else does this kid know? And that was it.
Yeah.
And so he was basically telling me, there's other directions, Ben. Look, did you feel my knee? Basically saying, And he was sort of saying, I've got friends that are strangle experts. Men that will rip your knees off. Friends that will get on your back and pull your head off. You need to realise this. There's so much going on that you need to experience. And that's when I thought, I'm going to Brazil. I want to feel what he's doing with all those other things, with those men that are the best.
Yeah.
I want to feel that intensity. I don't just want so-and-so strangle. I want so-and-so strangle done by so-and-so on me.
Yeah.
And so, on a plane.
Is that what it is? That first Mauricio seminar?
It was a training session. That was the day, and I thought, as soon as I get my son sorted, I'm going. Wow. I want to feel it. Because Steve has basically said, Japan too, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
Brazil, you got that exchange rate. So just a working lad, you got off that plane, you got 5 of theirs for one of ours.
Yeah.
One of ours got you £1 and a Mars bar.
Yeah.
One of theirs got you one of ours got you a Mars bar and a can of Coke.
Yeah.
And one of theirs got you a Mars bar and a can of Coke.
Yeah.
For one of ours, you got 5 of theirs.
Yeah.
So you thought, as soon as you got off the plane, you thought, well, this is all right.
I'm rich.
Yeah. I can afford to live for ages if I'm frugal.
I think when I went to Brazil, it was 5-1.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. And then, it went to 3-1 or even worse than that after that. Yeah.
But it was fantastic at the time. And they were all still on the mat then.
Wait, what year? Did you remember what year you went to Brazil?
2000, 2001, 2000, I think.
Oh, nice.
But I'll have to check.
Yeah.
Either 2000, 2001. I'll have to check. But they were all there. There was only really Gracie Bar, because it was in Bar. It's like Gracie Mill Hill.
Yeah.
It's in Mill Hill.
Yeah.
It's, Bar was Bar.
Yeah.
And they were all there, all on the mat. All the champions, all the great names were. So you wanted to see that guy's arm lock and strength. Well, he was there. And you got filled in by him. And it wasn't so much that they even taught you it. They tried. But you know how some people can't teach. But the best way is just to have them beat you up.
Yeah.
And you feel what they're doing. Yeah. And you pick it up, don't you?
Yeah.
But imagine being in that mixing melting
Insane.
pot. Man.
What was your first session in Gracie Bar?
Well, I went to the camp. Because that was the best way to do it.
Okay.
I was going to go over, but then I realised there was a camp there because Rob Locke, who had a academy down Coventry way, I think it was, South Birmingham some way. He was one of the first guys that had a proper martial arts studio. Yeah. He had Marcio Feitosa over for a seminar.
Okay.
So I went down with Big Neil Owen, one of my original training partners, and Feitosa was there, and I said to him, I want to go to Brazil. What's the best way? And he said, go to the camp first.
Was that in Brazil?
In Brazil.
In Baja?
It was yes, down the next village along.
Okay.
Carlos Gracie had rented a great big house that you could stay in.
Wow.
And I thought, this is best way. I'm better getting shafted for a few quid first one to make sure I don't get literally shafted.
Yeah.
And become a fucking statistic
Yeah.
from some Brazilian Ted Bundy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Buried in an hole somewhere. I thought, I'll go and get shafted for a few quid, put the feelers out for a couple of months, then I'll come back and I'll know what's going on. Which, well, it worked out well, because I met some names there that said, come and live in my house, like Gordinho.
Yeah.
Well, come and live with me and my mum.
Wow.
Okay, no, yeah. So the first real session, well, it was cool. What they did is they had a little matted space at the camp near the house, what they come do private lesson with you in the day. Then at night, you tended to go over to the main hall in Bar.
Okay.
So that's where we used to go, over there. So on that first night, it was fucking hell. There must have been 150 people there.
Wow.
And there's 30, 40, 50 black belts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been saying to Marcio, do I get to spar with, and he was saying, his English was good even then. Don't worry, you'll spar with all of them.
Yeah.
And I think Marcio saw I was a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And so he straight away paired me up with some good. So the first black belt in Brazil I got to spar with was Bruno Fernandes, who gave Joe St. Pierre his black belt.
Wow.
Now, luckily for me, he was I think he's an eye doctor. He was a young kid at the time, a little younger than you.
Yeah.
And I think he's an eye doctor, and he must have spoke 4 or 5 different languages. So he spoke fluently English to me. And he was exactly the opposite of what I'd ever experienced. I was lucky that he weren't a nutcase, because he could have really hurt me, because I went into him like a nutter. And it were like punching a curtain. He just absorbed everything I did. He had beautiful technique, and he just absorbed everything I did until I was flailing and flapping like a pillock, and then just murdered me.
Yeah.
Just tapped me out with all sorts of bits and bobs. And it was brilliant with him smiling at me, and I were off at Moon. And in the course of my stay there, he'd often invite me out to spar and give me a kicking and that. But he was beautiful, his movements. I think we used to call him Malenga, I think. I can't remember his nickname. But anyway, yeah, Bruno Fernandes, terrific fighter. But there were lots on the mat. That same night, Ralph Gracie was over as well. Because when he used to come back to Brazil, he'd go and train at Baja. And he just fucked around with me in his half guard.
Yeah.
And I mean, fucked around. There's a picture I've got with him afterwards.
I was
on top.
Well,
yeah. I just looked fucked.
Yeah.
And Holetta, that same night, he was there. Holetta was funny though, the ex absolute champion.
Yes.
Because he had like crazy jiu-jitsu, as he called it, crazy jutsu. Because he was because he'd turn up. He'd do
really unorthodox stuff.
Oh, mental stuff. But he was a big fucker.
Yeah.
And fought like he weighed 20 kilos, flipping around everywhere. But he was amazing, because he'd turn up at the gi at the academy in just his gi pants and flip flops on, carrying his jacket in the summer heat, and just walk upstairs, train, and walk back out like that, like a hobo. Yeah. But apparently he's really well educated as well. I think he's an engineer or something.
Really?
Bolletti, yeah. Oh man, he had his hand in his belt all the way through it, and just talking to his mates as he was sparring me. And I've got a picture of me after him, and I look like I've been dragged out of a fucking bush. You want to see it? Like I've been ducked in water, right? Dragged through a bush, pissed, and shoved against the wall. He looks like he's been up an hour and had a coffee. I'm not kidding. And he fought one-handed in his guard. But then, like Mauricio told us later, he had over 600 fights and got his guard passed twice, so don't worry about it. Yeah. So
insane.
That were all right, yeah.
So how long did you spend in Brazil?
On and off, about 5 years.
Wow.
I used to come back and just rip pages out of my passport so I could get a new one and go back. Because they didn't check it. Yeah.
Wow.
Just to go back through the immigration, you know what I mean?
So you basically, what ratio of time are you spending in Brazil to the UK?
About 9 months of the year.
Oh, wow, so a lot, the majority. And were you working out there? Or?
Oh, no. You could, but if you weren't careful, you ended up then being in their monetary system, and you couldn't make any money, and there were no time to train.
Yeah. So you were just out there training full time?
My granny had given me $5,000. My dad's, I speak English, not Yorkshire. My dad's mother is $5,000. And I thought, I'll see how long I can make it last.
Yeah.
So I luckily I'm a Yorkshireman, so I can be tight. And I was tight. Yeah. So I'd barely ate out at all. Yeah. I was staying in Gordinho and Gordo's mum's house with Gordinho. So we had one bedroom, I had the other. We shared that bathroom, and his mum had her own ensuite and bedroom. And she were ace. I mean, she was just a gi cleaning machine. Kept it all clean and tidy. And I ate there all the time, bought my food, cooked my own food there, and I was just as tight as fuck. And I just thought, I wonder how long I can make it. Yeah, just eked it out, you know what I mean? Because I lived in a caravan in England. I had on a little caravan site. Because people often used to say, how can you afford to keep going back to Brazil when you live in a caravan? And I used to say, because I live in a fucking caravan. I didn't even have a television, you know.
Yeah. So you must have advanced so fast.
Unbelievable. Ask Steve Campbell, he was the same.
Yeah.
Because Steve Campbell actually stayed there. He come a little bit. He actually went to Brazil before me, but then come back to Manchester, I think, to work a bit, to save. Yeah. And then when I'd been there a bit, he come back out and he stayed all the way through, Steve.
Really?
I think he did about 6 years, Steve.
Straight?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can't help but... What an oven to be in. You couldn't help but improve. You either improved or died.
And you know what? There is nowhere like that in the world, and there never will be.
Nowhere left.
There never will be again, because it was just so early. It was almost the Big Bang before it exploded. You know, you were right there.
That's a good way to put it, Dan. They all became Dick Whittington. They ran off to London to seek the fortune. Yeah. They've all gone now.
Yeah.
But they were all there.
Crazy.
On strange holidays, when it was, I don't know, some weird holiday, you'd be amazed who were on that mat.
Yeah.
You're thinking, oh, it's Higa Machado.
Yeah.
That's Enzo. That's Half. That's Hillian. I'm serious. All on the same mat to come down. For what reason, I don't know, but they're there. That's just the famous Gracies. Never mind the younger sons of the... And then the world champions that weren't Gracies.
Yeah.
And they were 10 of them. So you got the lineups where you were guard passing, 100 men against the wall and they're on their backs. Took you 25 minutes to get a go, 3 seconds to lose, another 25 minutes in fucking queue. You know what I mean? Oh.
All the people complaining in my classes that they got to wait too long in the King of the Hill.
It should have been there. But sometimes
minutes.
you embraced it and thought, thank fuck, I can have a minute.
Yeah.
You know? Because when you got paired up to spar with these men, oh, fucking hell. Oh. Because the worst beating out... Sometimes I'll say, who's worst, who's best you've ever seen? Because I'm no name. I don't even like the idea that people think, oh, I'm no good. I was just amongst it, that's all.
Yeah.
No, I'm just a journeyman. I was just a national level kid. Gracie. Nobody like him. I don't think there'll be anybody like him for a long time.
Yeah.
It's like fucking eugenics. They've got all that ability and they've created this specimen that they always wanted all along. They were as big as that bottle of water at Gracie's, weren't they? But they wanted bigger. I mean, Carlos's daughter was always funny, Carolyn, because if you ever sort of jokingly chatted you up, she'd actually say, you're too small for me.
Yeah.
Because you want a bigger man, you've got to get bigger, you know.
Yeah.
But when it comes to being battered half to death, Gordo,
really,
most dangerous man I've ever fucking met in my life.
No way.
Yeah, by far. I remember that because after I'd moved into his mum's house, I'd sort of seen him on the mat at nights and in the mornings. But once I moved into his mum's house, the first time I actually spoke to him was in the gym, not in his mum's house, because he didn't live there. He had his wife and his family, but he used to go there all the time, bring his kids to the nanas, to the granny's house, you know, but I actually first spoke to him properly in the gym, and he invited me to... I should have picked up on the word, because the word for baptism is very, very similar, and it's a Latin word, and he just said that to me, baptism, in their language, and fucking Jesus. It was during the day, actually. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, after it, it were like with Steve, but more relentless.
Wow.
Just basically, you can imagine, the way I think of it now, he was one of the oldest sons, and I'm in his mum's house, he wants to see who this kid is.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. Because he's a good 5 years older than me, I think, Gordo. And he's bigger than he looks.
Yeah.
Well. He's bigger than
he's a big, strong dude.
Oh, fucking hell. And bear in mind that he's a peer of the Gracies. A peer. I mean, he went to school with them. He's Half's best friend. Sleepovers when they were kids. And like I say to people, there's only so many old Gracie family photos, isn't there?
Yeah.
And grainy ones where they're all arms folded and it's the Gracies. And sometimes there's a non-Gracie in it. 9 times out of 10 it's him. Imagine what it takes to get in that photo. It's like being the unwanted foster child. Yeah. You've got to be better than the actual birth son, haven't you? Yeah. So he's their peer, and that's how they see it. And I remember it because the thing that stays in my mind the most was what happened after, because I was worse than Paul Cole after Gorthorpe. It was just fucking Jesus. And I come across the mat, and sat on the mat happened to be a guy called Tonico. There was 2 of them. There was Tonico and Sharapino. And for what I can gather, my Portuguese was shit. But Steve Campbell's is pretty good, and he was telling me. He says, I think Tonico and Sharapino was like Zig and Zag, Speedy Gonzalez, and it's 2 characters off a cartoon or something for kids. Yeah. Now, Tonico luckily spoke very good English. He actually is at Enzo's a lot now. He teaches a lot at Enzo's Academy. As I went and sat on them, Tonico just said to me, that's the worst it'll ever get. Which needed to be said, because I tell you what, I was borderline that day. I was borderline, Dan. Wow. I'm not scared to it. I was borderline like, no.
Fuck this shit.
Yeah. And it just tapped me and he went, that's the worst it'll ever get. I looked at him and he was like, I'm telling you. So I thought, right, that's good. Fucking good, because I can't take much more. Yeah, because it was absolutely awful. Like strangled to the point where you're going to go, release it, and then crush your throat, can't breathe, release it, then squeeze you more, just on.
It's pure nastiness.
Lovely man, Gordo, I mean a lovely man, dead straight, a man's man. When he speaks, you listen, don't fucking say much. But without a doubt, the most dangerous person I've ever fucking met. Do you know them people that if you did out to the family, they'd fucking kill you? Yeah. And they're not saying it, because they hadn't said it, but they would.
Yeah.
He's one of them. He'd fucking kill you. Just like Alf would.
Yeah.
Got that look in their eyes and you're like, if he says it's Tuesday, it's fucking Tuesday. You know. But anyway, yeah, that was the worst beating ever.
That's scary shit.
Oh, fucking hell.
Because, Gordo's kind of credited with almost not inventing, but revolutionizing the half guard position. So you're saying, when we spoke earlier, and I know that you're kind of known for your half guard top and bottom position. Is that something that you picked up from working so much with Gordo?
Only with him, like that, yeah. And to be honest, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm no specialist at all. It's just that I spent that. So every morning, I go and train with him because he was on. He had a particular lesson at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was full of the same men, and a lot of them were federal judges.
Okay.
So you had about 30 men that had known each other 40 years, and they'd been there or somewhere at that time with each other for that length of time.
Yeah.
So they were all high-ranking black belts that had just repeated this strategy with each other over. And what a session that was. It was something not worth missing, because the sort of old men that waited for a mistake and then they never, ever, ever let you get that back, that space. For animal training. So every morning, I'd obviously spar with him. I'd get called out. Come on. And we're always in half guard, either underneath or on top. It happened. So you picked up the mechanics of the dynamics of the balance of the... I won't say I'm an expert in it, but often what I see is I seem to know more than a lot of lads are doing, because I was with him. Jesus Christ. Standing shitty long enough, Dan, it gets on your shoe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So whether I wanted to learn half guard or not, I did.
And, they say that Gordo invented or revolutionized the half guard as an adaptation for a knee injury he had. Is that true?
Yeah, he blew it out actually playing football on beach. Really? I don't know whether people know that.
No.
600 odd fights and he fucked his knee playing football.
No way.
Yeah. And apparently he used to pop out all the time because he was scared of the surgery originally. And so he had to play half guard. He had to. Gordinho said that it was interesting at the start because nobody did it. Because it was always a standard strategy that if you were going to play from underneath, you'd find a good guard pull and play from closed, always then closed, open, and close it if you could again, and open only to sweep or close again. And the notion of pulling half was just mental. And especially when Gordo only sometimes caught the foot, never mind above the knee. He said, quarter we call it now. Yeah. Originally, he said people were just like going hysterical in stands. Look at this idiot. But like Gordinho says, in a few years it went from what's this idiot doing to
mainstream.
I hate playing with Gordo and his fucking stupid half guard. Yeah. So it didn't take long. He developed this idea and this, which is phenomenal, because I think we're blessed, even though you're a lot younger than me, I think we're blessed, Dan, that in our time in the sport, regardless of the ability difference between you and me, we've seen two developments of things which are basically new weapons, which I don't think is going to happen for a long time. I'll get some with this, you'll know where I'm coming from. Often you see something new and it's just another bullet to put in an existing gun. This is the way I explain it. So somebody says, look at this, and you think, it's just another bullet that fits the gun. Gordo's half-guard procedures, and also the development from that to Marcelo Garcia's extending X-guard, were two new guns. Stuff that nobody's seen before. Avenues that were dormant. It was a new weapon. And we've seen two in like 30 years. When realistically you should see probably one a lifetime. So we were spoiled. And I don't know where the next one's coming from. Because sometimes lads say, look at this, what this lad's doing. And I get excited and I'll watch a video somebody sent me. And I think, but it's brilliant, but it's just another bullet for a gun.
Sure,
It's come from that gun again.
There's going to be at some point where, there's not going to be anything new that we don't even...
Nothing new, I know. It's quite sad, really.
But
when the Berimbolo come out, I didn't know what it was, and somebody showed me, and I'm like, yeah, but you're using Mr. De La Riva's out of hooky, you're just rotating off the shoulder. So if that's shut down, you're fucked. It's the same idea, which is brilliant. It's brilliant, but I thought, am I going to see something? I mean, you take Garcia's extension of Gordo's number 3 principle, where you split the guy from half guard, which is what he did with his feet. What, so you can make a guy bend over in open guard without touching his upper body? Wow. That changed everything. That was the concept, wasn't it? He has to bend over, and I'm not touching his upper body. Amazing. Like, wow. What? Wow. Wow. And I'm waiting for the next one, because even as I get older, it excites me to see it. I hope somebody like you does it. So I can say this is brilliant.
So did you get your black belt in those 5 years that you were in Brazil?
No. We went through the belts. When I went over there, I was already a blue belt. It took a while. I got promoted to...
Who were you a blue belt under?
Well, yes. So when back in the day, Mauricio went back to Brazil. There was no more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, from what I knew. I think they carried it on a little bit in Birmingham. I think the lads carried on the school. The blue belts ran it for a bit.
Okay.
It's a long way from my home. And there was a lad up in the north of England called Andy Williams, up in Huddersfield, which isn't far from me, who had set up as well. And I went over to see him.
Yeah.
And he went, get involved, straight away. And he was involved with a guy down in London who was there called Chen Moraes. He got slated a lot, and I don't know why, because he really tried to get stuff moving.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I liked him, I liked him. He was almost transparent. There was no sort of sly movements behind him. He wanted to make a few quid. He wanted tournaments on and come and fight. So what Andy did is he had like Anaconda Huddersfield. So I used to go and train with him, blah, blah, blah. What was the question again? The belts, yeah. So I went down and fought in a couple of tournaments down there. And Chen said, well, if you want to be with this, you can have your blue belt because you fought well. I think I got second place in one of the tournaments, and I'd been put in the wrong category and all sorts.
So Chen just gave it to you?
Down at a seminar by a guy called Edmilson Alves, which was, I think he was the Brazilian champion.
Okay.
A black fella from Sao Paulo.
Yeah. So he just gave it to you at a tournament?
No, at the seminar.
Okay, sorry.
You can be a blue belt, and if you want, you can do a bit with Anaconda. So we made the Anaconda name in Doncaster. And after a while...
It's like an affiliation?
Yeah.
Okay.
And after a while, within a year, I think, Chen disappeared to Spain. I think he went to Barcelona, as far as I know.
I think he's still there.
So we were like, we'll just carry on what we're doing. But then Mauricio come back.
Yeah.
And after a while, I'd bumped into Marcio Fitosa, and I want to go up to Brazil. I just happened to walk into Man United again, Gracie Baja.
Yeah.
Perfect, right. I'm training there. I got my purple belt of Carlos, then the brown belt as well. Trained a little bit more, and I got my black belt when I was actually in the UK through Carlos from Legato.
Really?
Yeah, he was doing a session. I was on the mat, and Legato said, and Carlinhos says, you need to wear this.
Wow.
And I was like, all right. I weren't really that impressed, to be honest.
I remember, I think Mauricio... I've spoken to so many people on the podcast. I get hazy with who's who, but I think it was Mauricio who was just like, "Here's your belt."
Yeah, the next fight where this
just like hit, or like come in with a belt.
Yeah, next
come in with a different colour belt.
Yeah, it wasn't much. I think Legato had one of his old ones. He wants you to wear this now. Just wrapped it around my waist in front of people. And that were it.
No gradings.
Right, sparring now. No
whippings.
No, none of that shit.
No certificates.
I never saw any of that ever. No. I only ever saw grades on belts for black belts. You know, the degrees.
Yeah, well, even in the UK, we had white belt. When I started training, you only had the degrees on the white belts, and then we brought it in on everything else.
Ones, yeah, that's true.
What do you think of it?
I think it's a good idea. Yeah. Because there's only so many belts that it gives the guys...
something else to...
Plus, you see the difference between the levels. So you might have just got your blue belt, then you train with another blue belt, and it merges you, and you think, no.
Yeah.
But because he's got 4 tabs on the knackered, you think... He's been at this a lot longer than me, and he knows more, and it's fine. It just calms your head down a little bit. I think so, yeah. And at white belt, it's very important, isn't it? Because the lad might have 4 stripes, and he might have been training 4 years on and off. Yeah. This new kid comes in and thinks, oh, this is definitely not for me. He's just murdered me. Yeah. But he knows now. Oh, no, he's definitely more advanced than that.
Yeah. So you got your black belt, and do you go back to Brazil at all, or... After you got your black belt,
I went back. I think twice in 2008. I think I went back twice. I haven't been back since. I keep meaning to go back again.
And did you compete out there when you were training out there?
Yeah, quite a few times. They had quite a lot of tournaments on, so it was really easy to register as well because the FJJ Rio, which I've got my documents from. Yeah, that was in the centre of Rio. That was Hobson Gracies, which is Henzo's and Half's dad. That's the red belt that runs the original federation.
Because you said earlier. You were training pre-IBJJF.
Well, not in Brazil, but IBJJF turned up in like 94. Yeah. The CBJJ, really? Yeah. So the FJJ Rio was the only federation. That was the original. The badge that Elio stood in front of. And so that was, I think it was Gordinho or something, but there's also one in Rio, and it's the same badge. And that's his younger brother, which is Hobson, the red belt. So you could register there and fight in all the state championships. And they had him every other weekend. So you could fight all the time. Wow. And he didn't, because you were a gringo, he'd just like, yeah, just let him fight, give him the card. He didn't give a shit.
Did you still have to bring a kilo of rice?
Yeah, some of them. But some of the ones the yacht clubs you didn't, some of the fancy ones. But there was loads of fights on. I didn't fight a lot. Maybe once every 2 months. Some of the lads were there every weekend.
Wow.
They just keep going, fight. But it was easy to register with the CBJJ stuff as well, because the federation, as they called it, was just Carlos's office next door to gym. So you just went in there and signed your stuff and over you went, So the competition-wise, it was a piece of piss because they were fighting all the time. There were always tournaments, always. So lads that wanted to fight, there were no issues at all. Like it is now in the UK. You can just get one every weekend if you want. Yeah, but you should be.
Yeah. So you started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when? Mid-90s, you say?
I went to see Mauricio, would it be 98, 99?
She's talking about 20 years.
99 maybe, 1999, 1998. Yeah. I'm not sure when he came, that in London.
Sounds about
Birmingham.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's right, I think 98, 99.
She's talking 20 years.
Yeah, that'd be right.
So
I remember Roger Gracies coming in, the blue belt.
Yeah.
Skinny as fuck, spotty, as a young kid. I think about 16 or 17 or something.
Do you think that guy's going to be world champion one day? That guy's going to be the greatest ever?
I wasn't sure, but I knew there were a chance. He kicked the shit out of me, and I went hard at him because I was a fully grown man, so I was a lot stronger than he was. Yeah. But he just beat the shit out of me.
Yeah. What do you think, from your perspective, do you think has changed? What have been the main cultural differences, or even the differences in the rules of jiu-jitsu itself? What have been the big changes for you, for someone who's seen from the mid-90s?
They've made it for the masses now, haven't they? That's what they've done. They want more people involved, which is a good thing. And a bad thing. It's good because more people do it, because there's more exposure. The bad thing is this idea that everybody should be doing it.
Yeah.
I think it's fucking dangerous. I mean, so many studies show that if you're doing exercise which you don't enjoy and is stressful, that's very harmful for your body. Diabetes, heart disease. So some people, I think, feel like they should be enjoying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they really need to back it in, because it's fucking their head up. And the body. I see this a lot, and I think, this is just not for you.
Really?
Yeah, I see this a lot. Yeah, and Jiu-Jitsu for everybody. No, Jiu-Jitsu for weirdos. It is. It's for fucking weirdos. I've never been in a gym where I've not looked around and thought, what a set of fucking reprobates. Women included. You're like, look at us.
Yeah.
What a shower of shit. Nice people, but oddballs.
Yeah.
All of us. What do you think? All just look different, weird. So there's that. Rule-wise, yeah, I mean, I don't... I like that the old style's coming back, which is he taps you tap him, or nobody wins. I don't care you mounted him for fucking 10 minutes. You're going to tap him out. I don't give a fuck. I think it fucks it up, Dan. I get tired of seeing people, 2 points. Yeah, but you're going to have that frying pan into fire. What, you tripped him up to go between his legs and get your head pulled off. You're better where you were.
Yeah.
I don't. When you fight, I can see you just want to get him.
Yeah.
Care what he's doing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I like that's coming back.
Yeah.
Winner takes all. Murder me, but if you defend long enough, draw.
Yeah.
Draw. Yeah, that's the way it is.
You like that? If there's no winner, it's just a draw.
It's a draw. I mean, even back.
Is that how it used to be in Brazil?
Well, I think so. When I first saw the newer rules when I was over there, it was a lot of the IBJJF rules, but people were a lot more sort of progressive. People were trying to progress position, and I think that's why a lot of people
not win on an advantage.
Well, that happened, but it was much more by progress than design. So, for example, I think that's why people really enjoy watching the Masters divisions now, because you see that sort of they're trying to gain position, turn him over to pass to, and it's nice to watch, and you see them trying to dominate. I'm not saying that doesn't happen anymore. I mean, the fighters now are better than ever.
Yeah.
But you're also getting a lot of manipulation. People are getting really cute with these rules, and it becomes a little bit of a load of bollocks, to be honest, which I find irritating to watch. Yeah. He's twisted my knee, so that means that, yeah, but you're going to fight him in half an hour, no-gi, and he can do what he wants with your fucking knees. I don't understand it. Yeah. He slammed me from guard. Good. You should have opened it, you fucking idiot.
Well, there's a few competitions that allow the slam.
I'd allow it. It'd stop people slamming.
Yeah.
I'll argue this in court with anybody that wants to debate it with me.
Yeah.
To stop slams taking place from the guard and from triangles, allow them.
Because it forces people to react to him.
Straight away.
Yeah.
People will see it in a video happen once, and people will teach that as soon as a guy stands up, open your legs, or you're going to have to go to hospital.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I saw it start to take place with the Sumogeshi off the corner, the hooks sweep to the corner, where if you grab the belt and the head goes to the outside, you can't spike him into the ground.
Yeah.
Why not? It's his fucking fault.
Yeah.
Why are you being penalised? He should be taught not to do it.
Yeah, it's getting a bit crazy with that. Like, there's no guard jumps for white belts anymore.
That's good. You shouldn't jump guard. You should pull guard.
Okay.
Pulling guard's fine, because it should be a failed sacrifice, shouldn't it? You shouldn't jump to guard. He'll slam you on your head.
Yeah.
What goes on in a chip shop?
Yeah.
It's mental. Yeah. That's what I think. The older guys that I fought, you could have fought in any fucking format with anybody. It could have been sambo, judo, with a kimono, without a kimono, submission wrestling, valet tudo, car park, football pitch, chip shop. They'd have done well with their game in all of it. They'd have played their A game, their plan A, against any format, any style. And some of it now, they're brilliant at their format, and they don't scare me in the slightest. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If that were in chip shop in Mill Hill,
Yeah.
effing and blinding on a Saturday night, I'd suck his fucking eyeball out. No, I'm serious. Why we're inverted? I'd shove my thumb straight up his ass and stamp on his head. Or my mate would just kick him in the head.
Yeah.
You know, where some of these older guys, I wouldn't want to fight Hoist Gracie in a fight.
Yeah.
Because he did stuff that, he wouldn't
Did
be
you ever
them
train with Hoist?
No,
Yeah.
but I'm sort of giving like an example. I wouldn't want to fight Mauricio, even now.
Yeah.
Because you're like, everything he did would have worked in any format. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
It worked any format.
Yeah.
It works. None of that, everything they did was designed to work for fucking everything. And I think that's where it's dangerous. Because if we don't watch it, there's a bloke up north that people don't know, and you need to have a chat with him.
Go on.
He's called Darren Morris.
Oh, yeah. I have him on my list. Yeah.
And he's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Because he made a statement.
He just got his black belt this year, I think, or last year.
Well, we had to sort it out.
Yeah.
We had to sort this out.
Did you give it to him?
No, because it had to come from somebody above.
Yeah.
Because he's been around.
Yeah.
He's not Olympian level, but he's top grade
He's
national
a wrestler, a catch wrestler.
and judo.
Yeah.
But he's top grade national level.
Yeah.
I'm not giving him it.
Yeah.
It's like me giving it to Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hold on.
Yeah.
It needs to come from a peer or above.
Yeah.
So Mauricio did it, as
Okay.
it should have been.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, Darren cracked me up in there. I was sat in the Chris Thompson.
Yeah.
Runs
yeah.
it. Lovely fella. In it for right
Yeah.
reasons. You can't beat dealing with lads. They've already got a few quid in business because
Yeah.
they do this for right reasons.
Sure.
You can't buy them.
Yeah.
They're proper blokes. And he arranged a meeting for me to sit down with Darren because we'd never met. Darren's a bit older than me, so he's similar sort of ethics and sort of brain pathways of how it should be, but been around longer, so knows more. He's above me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He knows more. But he cracked me up because I spat all my coffee out and sat in a coffee house in Burnley, in Lancashire. I don't like going to Lancashire. That'll upset John Stokes if he listens to this. When Mauricio put in his little legacy programme, Ben's joining us and he's going to be King of the North.
Yeah.
The Lancashire lads wrote, not being fucking ruled by Yorkshire. That's what they wrote. Anyway, what was I telling you? Yeah, Chris Thompson, you got to sit down with Darren. The first thing Darren said, he says, I'm in a worse predicament than you with Ben. He says, because me and you, he says, this is how he put it, and it cracked me up. He says, well, our ex-boyfriends with big dick. Nobody wants to bring us up. That cracked me up. That analogy. Well, like you and me were like ex-boyfriend with big dick. I thought, that's brilliant. Yeah, it cracked me up. And he says, we just want to be forgotten. Pretend, Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Because we were there and he were there before me, and that's not what happened. I fucking stood there. Paul Cahoon and all. You want to talk to him, but I think he's on running Saudi Arabia or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Jason Tan about Paul Cahoon or Darren Morris. Fuck, how he's not dead or locked up, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so what were we on about there? What were you
I
asking?
cannot remember.
Yeah, so Darren Morris, you need to have a chat with him about the original, about what happened, and yeah, he's an interesting figure to talk to. Yeah, because we were talking about how the reason we liked Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is this. Originally, we'd studied grappling. That's what we were studying, and it's all the same.
Yeah.
And I often said, Dan, that if you put a blindfold on and sparred with Gorthorpe, then Neil Adams, then Carlos Gracie, then Roger Gracie, and then some other world champion, and then Gordo, and took it off and said, which were which? You'd say, I've fucking no clue.
Yeah.
It felt same.
Yeah.
It was, because there's only so many ways to move.
Yeah.
Like when they showed Steve a knee bar.
Yeah.
And said, have he got that? He went, yeah, it's a Juji Gitami, but inverted because it's on his leg.
Yeah.
You can't, I know what it is, son. You know, there's only so many ways to move. Like they always said, pyramids. Same in Egypt as they are in Mexico.
Sure.
It weren't the same bloke that did it. They didn't fly him over. Yeah, yeah. And so we were on about the reason we loved Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was quite simple, really. It was because it was like what judo were originally meant to be. Folk points, folk standing them up. It was like sparring in judo originally. Off you go, get on with it. It was like a sparring round that never ended. Oh, get on with it. We loved it. No fucking amount. And if anybody were lying and full of shit, you went to the gym and went, come on, see what you've got.
Yeah.
Which I think I'm forever grateful to Gracies for being nutters.
Yeah.
Because it always...
They were.
Fucking nutters. Some of them nice men, but fucking head cases. And it's a strange thing. They were. Yeah. You could see in their eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, don't ever get confused. No, Carlos Gracie might be one of the richest men on fucking planet now or whatever.
Yeah.
But I tell you, we were hard as fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, he'd beat you to fucking death. Yeah. Ooh. I mean, he used to beat the likes of his brothers and Mauricio when they used to spar. You know how hard they were.
Well, there's so many good street fight stories with the old school Gracies.
Oh God, yeah, they didn't fuck around. I mean, I'm so grateful for them to making it what it is, because in all this honour which we need, you got to have the honour. We needed a set of lunatics to prove what it was.
Yeah,
it's ironic, really,
that
you had to have you've got to be a really well behaved dog. But it took a fucking mental street dog that was shagging everybody's leg and biting every cunt to show everybody what we were about, which is what they did, you know. And we loved it because it was just right, get on with it. It was just raw, because, I mean, if you think about it, jiu-jitsu was about stabbing people and slashing people and killing people on battlefield with swords, wasn't it? That's what was jiu-jitsu. And modern jiu-jitsu was judo.
Yeah.
Modern jiu-jitsu was judo. All the old jiu-jitsu schools maintained the battlefield stuff. You stab him, you put your thumb in his eye. The modern sport format of jiu-jitsu for just grappling was judo. It was judo, ryu, jiu-jitsu, kos, and something or other. I can't remember the full names. Ask some of the other lads, they'll know. And the Brazilian form of Brazilian jiu-jitsu is basically Brazilians' adaptation of judo. Sure. They just didn't call it judo. Fuck knows why.
Should be Brazil. Well, I believe...
Would he have got stabbed by calling it that?
I believe that... it was, I think it might have even been someone as far back as Simon Hayes talking about this, which was, I believe that Maeda wasn't allowed to be fighting these matches.
So he couldn't call it judo.
So he called it jiu-jitsu.
Exactly.
And
I think that's what I've heard, which makes sense.
Yeah.
You call it judo, you come home, they're going to harikari, whatever they call it. You're going to get a slit throat.
It should be Brazilian judo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the adaptation of the Brazilians is that because they weren't influenced by the Olympic rule set, there was no finish because you threw in flat. There was no finish because of a hold down. It was, we just keep going. So they noticed that groundwork was more important because you got the submission. So hence they developed more groundwork than standing. That seems to be what happened.
Yeah.
It just seems to be standard evolution. But that's why we loved it, because of how raw it was. It was like, get on with it. And when it started, we loved that. And it almost made a mockery of what we'd call the traditional jiu-jitsu schools, which were just fat men in church halls saying, grab my wrist, no, not that wrist, the other wrist.
Yeah.
But if we're not careful, it's going to become what we hated.
Sure.
Some of these schools have gone all full circle.
Yeah.
Darren pointed this out strongly. It's becoming what we hated.
Judo?
No.
Or jiu-jitsu?
Brazilian jiu-jitsu is becoming those traditional jiu-jitsu schools that we took the piss out of. Look at these bullshit. They barely spar. They're all fatties. They're not even in good shape. It's bullshit. Some of these schools are becoming this. That's what they're becoming. They're becoming what we preached against. We're becoming what we didn't want. You've got to be careful of this. You've got to be careful of it.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning, we're fucking raw.
How do you stop that?
No idea. It's up to you or your England. Get on with it. Well, back in the day, you used to go in and batter them.
Yeah.
But now they say I'm offended. Fuck them.
But we still have that. I think the nice thing about jiu-jitsu, and it gets harder. It's like trying to hold on to a weight that's, something that's growing. It's getting heavier. You're holding on to it, and then as it gets bigger and heavier, it's slipping out your fingers, and eventually you're going to drop it, and it's going to be out of your control.
That's a good analogy.
But
hey, don't get me wrong. Because of that's happening, and it's getting heavier and denser and more people, it means that there's more great fighters coming through.
It is, and it is good, and there's more money in the sport, and
which is brilliant.
There's one of the things that I like to talk about, which is like the jiu-jitsu economy. Like, the more people doing jiu-jitsu, the more people are buying jiu-jitsu clothes, jiu-jitsu rash guards.
It's good for everybody.
Jiu-jitsu training stuff, jiu-jitsu supplements, jiu-jitsu magazines, and the more people that are buying jiu-jitsu based products, the more money those products are able to use for advertising, so that you can sponsor tournaments.
It's good for everybody. It knocks on for all of it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's effectively when, the sea level goes up, all the ships go up.
Yeah. But then at the same time, you don't want it so big that someone that nobody ever heard of
sneaks through the cracks
can put a black belt on, and we're still at a point now in the UK where
it'll never change in the UK because it's such a small island. You'll never get away with being a wanker.
That's very possible.
Because unlike these other bigger countries,
someone will know someone.
You'll bump into him in Asda.
Yeah.
You'd be an arsehole.
Yeah.
Off you go to Morrison's one day and he's stood in bread aisle.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it hasn't happened in a while, but we did have a few cases of fake black belts.
They get them, don't they? And I'm into that. Go on, lads. Tell them. Not on our watch.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah. And it's always the same.
It's embarrassing. You see it. Yeah, but it's a traditional belt.
Yeah.
Why are you wearing a tamagi with a Brazilian flag, you wanker?
Yeah. Why are you saying you're teaching Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, it's just not right.
And then it'll be like, oh, don't worry about it. He's still a great instructor. We don't give a fuck if he's a great instructor. Take your belt off.
Just train. Don't worry about this.
Yeah.
No, it needs to be dealt with.
Yeah. 100%.
Otherwise, we'll come full circle again.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just arseholes lying. Yeah,
that's it.
Right, yeah.
That's it. Anyway, man, you've been training jiu-jitsu for a very long time. Whenever I'm talking to someone who's trained for this length of time, one of the questions you're always asking is, what's the secret to longevity? Like, how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, you can ask what you want, mate. 44, coming up 45.
Yeah, you're still in really good shape. You've been training for...
Fucked.
30... Really? Okay. Well, look good on the outside, but...
Fucked.
Really?
Injuries everywhere. Don't train like I did.
It's too intense.
Yeah. Go intense, but just back off when you feel your body going a bit.
Sure.
We were just idiots.
Yeah.
Right?
I think everyone does that. You
get to the black belt a year early.
Yeah.
And then have 40 years knackered.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the journey and just go steadier. Just take a week off.
Is that what you're doing now?
That's what I do. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can still train. I can still spar. I do. But you just have to back off. And I wish I'd have done it before. Because you can't get this back. There's no money to fix this stuff, Don't believe all that stem cell bollocks.
No.
I talk to all these doctors.
Yeah.
All these American football players that have got all money in the world, and all these basketball players. You don't see them doing charity sport events, do you?
No.
They're fucked.
Yeah.
I speak to these consultants for stuff I've got wrong with me, and they tell me, son, whether you've got $3 million to spend, we can do no more than if you had $3,000.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff as we used in the 30s.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, they said, we're buffering them up to hope this stuff catches up with us. This technique, this technology.
Do you think it will?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I fucking hope so. But one of them said to me, I'll take your money, but it don't work.
Really?
I'll take your money, but it don't work. All this other stuff, well, this worked for him, this worked. Yeah, of course it did. Bullshit. And I'm talking men that don't know each other.
Yeah.
That you pay money to have consultancies with. Messenger, Skype, men you see in your own country when you go abroad to talk to.
Really?
It's the drugs that have been around for 100 years nearly now, just better versions of them.
Yeah.
Buffer them up, cortisone injections, the acids through your knees, the blocking this, some nandrolone to create these synovial fluids. It's all the same.
Yeah.
All the same shit. I'm telling you. And when one of them pointed that out, you think that's true. You don't see Dan Marino doing running events or even Shaquille O'Neal doing charity basketball. They don't. They buffed him up for another 30 million for that season, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
Barely walk and that. And I'm like, fucking hell, really? You're like, hey, I'm telling you this, hey, you can believe me or not, son. And I'm like, so people just need to train hard.
Be smart.
But be smart. Just be smart. Have 2 or 3 hard sessions a week and just feel it and just think, listen to it. If it's going, it's going.
Yeah.
And just back off and it won't go. Because they're never the same again.
Yeah.
I mean, even powerlifters, Dan, say everybody's got a strong back till they haven't.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I can train them all right, but I tell you what, oh man, I've got some damage.
Yeah.
Some serious damage. Yeah.
Do you do anything now? Do you do yoga? I think I've seen you do some.
I do a lot of. I enjoyed the breath work for a long time.
So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I've seen you do some crazy stuff with the breath work. So let's just talk about that a little bit. Like, how did you get into that? What benefits have you seen from that? And
it's something that people need to study, isn't it? If they enjoy doing physical exercise, you've got to breathe properly, especially if somebody else is controlling the tempo.
Yeah.
It's not like you're waiting to do another set of deadlifts where you think, I'll just wait another 30 seconds to get my breath back. Often you're not in control of the tempo, are you? So you've got to really do something where you can alleviate anxiety in positions and that. And I mean, breathing is so important. From what I remember through the medical parts of our study of it, it's the only system that you can use to influence the other systems. It doesn't work the other way around. You have to use the breath to influence your heart rate and things like that. And it's fascinating once you start to play with it. And it's very internal. It's very introverted, which is wonderful. It's very much about you. I found nothing which made you focus on you more than shutting your eyes and thinking about how and when you were breathing. And it's a fascinating study. And it helps with everything, I find. Especially in jiu-jitsu, helps with everything. I see loads of lads panting and all sorts. Terrible breathing habits. Yeah. Shoulder breathing. I think, well, you correct that and you'll improve 5%. That's a damn sight easier than learning the jiu-jitsu. You know, like I've seen a fat kid. How will I get better, coach? Well, if you stop eating Mars bars, you'll improve quickly, mate. You know, and there's some terrible breathing habits I see. I don't do a lot of the stretching, the asana, the postures, because I don't believe in it. I really don't. I think you should stretch within your range of motion. I don't like how they're trying to make these young lads be as bendy as hell that aren't naturally like that. That doesn't make sense at all. I think they're asking for trouble in later life. Yeah.
Too much looseness around the joints.
Yeah, I think you've got a genetic makeup, and that's, hey, don't get me wrong, if you're feeling a tightness, a tension, then you should continuously alleviate that. But if you're feeling a compressive issue, that's no longer yoga, that is jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Do you follow me? I see lads going into stretches and I'm like, well, where is that aching? Yeah. And they show me and I'm like, well, that's not yoga. You're getting a bone on bone. Like, I don't care what your yoga teacher's telling you, she's full of shit. You know. But yeah, I think it's important to look at that as well. I think it's important to do it, but also from the mindset of a Western Northern European man, Dan, as well. You know, I'm not from Calcutta. My grandfather was a coal miner, so I had to learn it as the grandson of a coal miner. You can't talk to me with the terminology and the cultural phrasing of somebody that's not from there. Sure. Don't tell me to engage my inner soul and breathe into my whatever and embrace the kundalini and feel the breath, embrace my I don't know, my inner chakra. When what you want me to do is bend over and fucking relax my hamstrings. Yeah. Then I'll do it. Yeah. You know, which I see in jiu-jitsu too. I see some shit teachings because people are being taught like they're a Brazilian. And you're not. Teach him like he's an Englishman. And it's got nothing to do with the colour of his skin. Yeah. If he's from over here, this is our culture. We're very methodical. Yes. We do things in steps. And if you do that, you notice that with your own students, Dan, you can make them good very, very quickly if you approach it differently. Yeah. Like an Englishman teaching another Englishman or a Brit teaching a Brit. I don't know if you've noticed that. Yeah. Often the Brazilian way of doing it, well, we're not Brazilian. We don't work with the hips like that. It's making no sense to this guy. Sure. And the yoga thing's the same. I do yoga, but study it, do the yoga, but also study Western physiotherapy whilst you're doing it. So you know what you're doing. That really helped me. It's more fascinating as well, I think. Interesting. Answer that?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, like, so how do you get into sort of the breath? Because what's it called when you get the vacuum?
Yeah. See, a lot of people focus on that. That's why I didn't release anything else. I'm not doing it again because people want to, that looks good. And they're missing the point. I'm like, well, the point is it's not supposed to be extroverted. It's supposed to be introverted. It
just looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool.
That's the problem.
We're obsessed with how we look outside, aren't we? Yeah. Well, the point is with that is you're trying to get inside yourself and fuck everything else. So yeah,
but what does that actually do? You know, internally.
Well, yeah, right. So the vacuum itself, so same as what like you'd see Frank Zane and the bodybuilders do back in the 70s. Yeah. The vacuum, you can practice that easy enough, and that's very good because it keeps, from our point of view as Westerners, it keeps the elasticity in the help me out, the
diaphragm.
Yeah, makes it very mobile and creates a very good muscle memory. So when you're breathing, it's more responsive, and you feel it. You can play some clever tricks then without having to lift your chest. So somebody might be laid on your chest and you breathe into your gut. Then move on to your gut, you breathe into your chest, and you think, I've got a bit of manipulation here. It's quite nice.
Sure.
The noli, the roll.
Yeah.
You're effectively massaging your own gut. Like you would with your hands, but you're doing it with your your stomach muscles. But it's not really breathwork. That's using breathwork to do an internal massage.
Sure.
But you got to be careful with that, because I got some bad advice for one guy, and I inflamed a part of me actual intestine by overdoing it.
No way.
Oh yeah. So don't believe a lot of this shit. Sometimes, Dan, it can be like a plumber telling you about brickwork.
Yeah.
They're good at that, and they go on to something else, and you believe them, and you study it, and you think that ain't what they know. Wankers. You should have shut up. Because you get a lot of that with yoga, what you should eat.
Yeah.
They go into this nutritional shit, and you study
Stay
it.
in your lane.
That's bullshit, that. Stay in your lane, mate. Yeah. Yeah, so they tell you this, and I've hurt myself, and you check it, and you're like, I've damaged part of my intestine because that was bullshit. What you were telling. Yeah, so just go careful. So steady with all of it. Yeah.
And do you do anything in terms of strength and conditioning?
Oh yeah. But the old man versions of the powerlifting movements.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of young lads don't realise, do they? Say I lift weights, and you only lift weights if you're actually doing the Olympic lifts. If you're not doing the Olympic lifts, you're weight training.
Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not technically good enough or young enough anymore to be doing snatches and clean and jerks.
But did you at one point?
I tried.
Yeah.
But now as I'm older, I break them down into the 5 or 6 compound movements.
Sure.
So I'll do my deadlifts, my squats, my standing press.
Yeah.
Some form of a bench press movement.
Yeah.
A pull to my chest and a pull from the top down.
Yeah.
And to me that's it.
Yeah.
There is nothing else really for me. And I think it's very important we do that, because it keeps you strong. And being strong is important, and it keeps your joints strong. It keeps your muscle intact, and you can also do that when you're a little bit injured as well, which is nice.
Yeah, you can work around it. And then the nutrition side of it as well. So I've heard you talk about the nutritional stuff, and you put a post on Facebook. It could have been even a few years ago, and I thought it was really interesting because it was kind of counter against a lot of conventional understanding of
what to eat. Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like the difference between chicken and ruminants and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I think what it boils down to is there's a difference between running for your dinner and running for your life. People study a lot about nutrition, but I was fucked. So I have to do this right, or I'll die.
Really?
Know? Yeah, I've had 2 heart attacks and a triple bypass by the time I was 31. Partly genetic, but so to cut a long story short, my family's got the same issue. So my great-grandfather died at 39. Sorry, my grandfather died at 39 when my dad was 9. When I was 9 and my dad was 39, same again, my dad had the heart attack. Okay, so they checked me and he's carrying the same gene.
Yeah.
So let's do everything right with him.
Yeah.
Let's change his diet. And I was an athlete. Well, I had an heart attack at 31.
Really?
So you can't really be too scientific about this because there were lots of variables, but the main variable was that they changed what I ate compared to my grandfather and my father. And that change made me have a heart attack nearly 10 years earlier.
Oh, fuck.
So something were wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So a spidey sense went off. Did a light bulb in my head. What the fuck are they on about here? So then you start to read. Can you imagine how annoyed I was? What the fuck's this? What's gone on? I mean, I were in better nick than my granddad and my dad ever were.
Yeah.
How come I'm having a bypass 10 years earlier than my dad were?
Wow.
When he didn't do fuck all for years.
Yeah.
Right, so. And I'm being looked after. Yeah, of course I was. So then you start to read. Oh, what a load of bollocks it all is. Oh, what a load of bollocks. It's just lies and lies and lies and lies. All for money.
Yeah.
Lies and lies. Oh, horrific stuff.
The World Health Organization is putting out some real crap these
Absolute
days.
Nonsense. 99%. I won't even pay attention. You're better off reading Sun.
Yeah.
You're better off asking Jordan what to eat. He's probably got a better diet.
There's this big push for vegetarians and veganism at the moment.
I think vegetarianism can be very, very healthy. I think veganism, I don't know how they're going to get the protein intake, but I'd be very, very, very wary of how much poofers they were eating, the polyunsaturated fat.
Yeah.
That'd scare me to death. If someone in my family was only going to be vegan, I'd be very, very worried about that. Because as far as a compound goes, or as far as a mechanism goes, it's identified. You know, that the consumption of polyunsaturated fatty acids, vegetable oils, corn oils, any poofers at all, are incredibly toxic to humans. In a way that's horrific.
Yeah.
That almost mimics radiation poisoning.
Wow.
It's awful. It's that simple. And this has been pushed for a long time, Dan. Because it's cheap to produce. In fact, it's a fucking byproduct.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, margarine was pink because they used to use it to clean farm machinery. Now they're telling you to buy it. Buy Benecol. Buy Flora Proactive. It's good for your arteries. Read what's in it. You can't fucking spell it.
Yeah.
Right? All this shit in these ingredients. I'm not eating that. It's absolute junk. I'm telling you. It's just an inflammatory agent that'll make you die.
Yeah.
Or what should I have on me? Butter.
Yeah.
It's good for your heart. That's simple.
People don't understand now because butter was, fats were
Vilified.
demonized so much.
Vilified, yeah.
Butter was demonized so much. I stopped having vegetable oil. I went to coconut oil.
Miles better.
Yeah, and now I'm on butter.
Butter and vegetable oil.
Butter with pretty much everything.
Butter and vegetable. Butter and coconut oil.
Yeah.
That's the only. Or lard.
Yeah.
But you need to make sure it's from but it needs to be from a ruminant.
Yeah.
So from a pig's no good because it tends to be polyunsaturated.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with chicken.
So this is one of the most interesting things because
it's shit for you on several reasons. Chicken. Yeah. I mean, I eat it, but it's not the.
Well, I've always eaten a lot of red meat, and I always felt that wasn't the healthy alternative is chicken.
Yeah.
And then after reading what you said and then looking into it,
exactly,
you realise that actually red meat is the healthy alternative to chicken.
Neither of them are perfect because they've both got. We only ever eat the muscle meats now, don't we? We only eat the prime cuts because we're rich.
Yeah.
So you're only ever getting that amino acid range, which is high in the inflammatory amino acids, tryptophan, cysteine, all the ones which are inflammatory markers. You're not getting the balance because we no longer eat the guts and the ligaments
eyes,
and tendons, the eyes.
Sinews,
Yes, where the glycine is and the other ones which balance it out.
Yeah.
So even too much meat's not good. You shouldn't eat too much unless you're going to eat more gelatin and more of the animal because that's what we would have eaten. But the point of view if you want me to talk about this, I will.
100%.
Yeah, right, go on. Yeah, the more I studied into it, and because you got to remember as well that not only were I running for my life and still running for my life, I'm interesting for these men to talk to who are PhDs in this because I'm an anomaly. I should be dead. So this guy's worth having a chat with. So how are you getting on with that, son? Sort of idea.
Yeah.
Americans, Brits, French, all guys that are on the money, on the mark. Norwegians, and they talk to me. I have correspondence with them.
Wow.
Chicken. Well, it's not a ruminant. So if you're going to eat meat, you need to be eating meat from an animal that's got more than one stomach because you need the fat to be saturated because it's incredibly healthy. You want saturated fat.
Yeah.
It's healthy for your heart. It's healthy for anti-inflammation. It's healthy for testosterone in males. You need it, right?
Fat is so important for hormone production and regulation. It's one of the big things. Yeah.
There you go, Dan. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these young little blokes now whose cholesterol's over 5, he's got me on a statin. I shit myself for him. Anyway, I'll get to that later. So you need to be, if you want to eat some meat, you're better off with a ruminant. So lamb, sheep, cows, buffaloes, because ideally you want a ruminant that's been grass-fed.
Yeah.
But even if it hasn't been, it'll clean a lot of the shitty fat through its system. So what you're left with is an inferior meat compared to grass-fed, but it's still predominantly saturated fat that you're eating. You eat a pig or a chicken that's been fed grain, it's just dosed in polyunsaturated fat. If you look at corn-fed chicken, it looks like the womb of a woman with cancer of a womb. It looks the same. It's that horrible yellow colour that looks like a smoker's lung. That's what it is. It's completely poisoned. You don't eat that. It's just full of shit. It'll make you ill. And with a chicken as well, you've got that idea that if you're not careful, you're only eating 3, 4, 5 breasts a day, and the wings and the legs, and you're only eating the muscle meats again.
Yeah.
Where's the glycine? Where's the if you're into to consuming the animal product, the safest one seems to be the fish of the sea, which is the seafood, because we even get this problem with white fish. So white dry fish is good because it hasn't got the poofers. All this idea of 3 or 4 portions of salmon a week, I can't find any proof where that's. I can find completely the opposite. It's bullshit.
Really?
Maybe 1 piece a week, and be careful.
Salmon?
Well, it's full of polyunsaturated fatty acids. It's steady. You're better off with a piece of white fish. But then, once again, you've got a muscle meat, high in the inflammatory markers. You're better off with prawns and seafood.
Really?
That seems to be the one, which makes sense from where we come from.
Yeah.
Think about it. Eating mussels and cockles and that's so the vegetarian diet is very, very good. I mean,
like a pescatarian diet.
Yeah, I'm very much that. But Kishinov often comments and says, yours is very, very almost vegetarian. But by that, though, there's no grain. Because the grain is just fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
And once again, I'll go in front of a judge and argue with this. All the science is there.
Pasta, bread.
Don't touch
rice.
Sometimes I eat it because I like it.
Yeah.
I eat chocolate as well. I know it's not good for me.
Yeah.
The idea that grain's good.
What about rice? Rice is like a weird one, which is kind of, it's not quite like wheat.
You're better off with white rice.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't got the phytates in it as well.
Yeah.
Because not only have you got this problem with the grains that, I mean, the trouble with grain as well. One of the old guys was saying to me, one of the old PhD guys, was saying the trouble is because it's not an animal, they haven't got teeth and claws, so they had to develop their own defense. So it's all inside the husk of what you're eating. It's fucking poisonous. So we had to find ways to mill it and do it and cook it so you could eat it. I mean, you could just eat raw meat and fruit like that.
Yeah.
You know. And it's essentially a poison. So not only are you consuming polyunsaturated fat, you're also consuming this thing which binds to all the good vitamins and minerals and drags it out of you. So you're like a little frog trying to climb out of a well. So you climb up 3 meters in day and fall back 5 in night. So all this shit that you're eating, you're just dragging all crap out of you. All the good stuff's being dragged through your crap out of you, you know. So grain in itself is just fucking... I mean, white rice, one of them showed me that if you're going to use rice, you better with white and cook it in a lot of water. I think there's a high arsenic level as well in it. So it needs to be heavy cooked in water so you can drain a lot of water out of it. But ideally, just don't fucking eat any. Use fruit and tuber veg.
Yeah.
Like underground nightshades, like potatoes or something like that.
White potatoes?
It seems to be fine.
Sweet potatoes?
It seems to be fine, yeah.
Really?
It seems to be a lot better. Fruit's best.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them we're on about, there's an old guy called Ray Pete who's an absolute fucking wizard at it. He's one of these old fellas that were in the labs back in the day doing these tests so he's a doctor, but a PhD doctor.
Yeah.
So he was in the lab, you know, doing these tests in the time when they were done. So you can't bullshit him. I think he's about 80 or 90 now, and he made the point that there's only two food sources or two things on the planet that were there solely to be consumed. Fruit and milk. There is nothing else that is only there for the sole purpose to be consumed. Fruit and milk.
Fruit wants to get eaten, so you shit out the...
That's the one, mate. It has to be. Yeah. And milk has to be consumed.
So what's your take on drinking animal's milk?
It seems to be fine.
Yeah.
As long as it's well looked after again.
And raw versus pasteurised?
I need to speak to Dr. Pete about that. It seems like... He said in something, and I don't like quoting authority, you see, because it's poor. That's a piss poor argument, isn't it? It's a piss poor argument. What if the guy doesn't believe the authority?
Yeah.
Jesus said, well, I'm not religious, so He said that it's more important that it's grass fed, whether it's raw or pasteurised. It doesn't look like pasteurisation is a problem at all.
Interesting.
You want the best quality you can get, which is nice because it means the animal's been treated nice, which is a good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when I'm over in Tenerife, I can see the goats I get it from.
Really?
See, and it tastes incredible. And you can buy... Expensive milk's not expensive, is it? It's like buying expensive eggs. Stop being a tight bastard. They're not expensive. It's not the difference between a cheap car and an expensive car. Is it? It's a couple of quid dearer. And you taste the difference. So in England now you can get good milk, can't you? You can get good milk. And it seems to be fine. I mean, the argument of humans are the only mammals that consume the milk of another mammal.
We're the only ones that sit down and record podcasts as well.
Exactly. Well, go and get a dog.
Yeah.
Get me some milk. I'll put it in a bowl.
Yeah.
Right? Try and take it off him. He'll have your bollocks off.
Yeah.
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 So that doesn't seem to... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, most of the vegan arguments have pretty big holes in them, to be honest with you.
Well, I think the argument of it being for ethical reasons is fantastic. And I honestly, down at the nights I've sat there thinking, if only I could live on sprouting stuff and it'd be awesome. But I'd die. The other point you see is that one of the made is that there's a particular mechanism in the human thyroid and in the human liver that when we consume animal fat, the mechanism works in a particular way in both the thyroid and the liver in exactly the same way as it does in every other carnivore. And it doesn't work that way in a herbivore. Which is
proof that we're
designed that you can eat meat.
Yeah.
So that argument is, you don't have to, but Nothing to do with the teeth and what we look like. No, it's how that mechanism takes place and those particular tools that are in there to deal with that. That's the end of that. And I don't want to argue with. I want to find what's right because it's for my life.
Yeah.
And I wish I could live on, sprouting grass, but I'll be dead.
Yeah.
Because I tried it.
Yeah.
That's what they told me to eat since a kid.
Did they put you on like a vegan or vegetarian diet?
All that shit.
Yeah,
You've got to eat all the grain. Loads of grain, loads of almost vegan products. No hardly any animal meat, no animal fat. 31. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
31.
Yeah.
Fucking talk to me. You want to talk? Come here. You're running for your dinner. I'm running for my life. Talk to me. It's fucking bullshit. I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
The worst cases of atherosclerosis, which is heart disease ever seen, is in people that eat all those grains and no saturated fat.
Yeah.
There you go.
Absolutely. And kind of the one thing that you mentioned, which is the problem with it's undoubtedly, for me, I think it's completely undoubtedly that we are omnivores. We're meant to eat animal products.
Omnivores, yeah.
But we should eat all the animal products.
All of it.
The bone broths and the marrow and the eyeballs and the intestines.
It's really weird because, I mean, back in the day, your great-great-great-grandma would have given your great-great-great-granddad some broth when he had gout. And she didn't know why, but she knew it were anti-inflammatic for his big toe problem. Because they just knew it had the glycine in it. They didn't know why. But
So this is it. Can you supplement with glycine? Or?
It looks like it's fine. Yeah, I think you got to do it right.
What is it? It's not collagen, is it? But
I think you can buy that. I think you can buy the glycine's in the collagen. It's in the basically in the gelatin. Is it not a third of the? I think it's a third of gelatin.
Yeah.
I think it's about 30%.
So that's what you add. You just add gelatin to
a lot of people
the
do.
diet.
Yeah, a lot of people do. Yeah.
Do you do that?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. It's if you've got inflammation, if you want to helps you sleep, is what it does me.
Yeah.
If you put some. I mean, you could get away with just eating fucking gummy bears if you wanted.
Really?
I know Sam Bolt does that. The MMA fighter up in the north. He just eats bags of gummy bears.
But then you
could get fat.
What's your take on sugar?
Seems to be a problem if you've got a problem. If you haven't, it's not a problem at all.
As an inflammatory mechanism?
It seems to be a problem if you've got a problem.
Oh, really?
Only when you've switched over into the problem is it now poisonous. Otherwise, it's just bollocks, all this argument.
Really?
The catalyst is the poofer.
Yeah.
Not the sugar. Everything I've read shows that. And I read like a fucking idiot.
And the poofer is the...
Polyunsaturated fatty acids.
Okay.
The vegetable oils.
Okay.
The linoleic acid.
The mix of that and the sugar?
Yeah, but the catalyst is the poofer.
Yeah.
So that seems to be what kicks it off. People, you can... Yeah, sugars... I mean, we run off sugars.
Yeah.
All the time. All the time we run off sugar. It seems to be a problem when you've switched over into the problem.
Yeah.
Now it's poisonous and you can't touch it. And the way to switch back is to not consume any, it looks, because they go on these meat-only diets and it seems to work, doesn't it? I don't know anything about that. All I do know is what I've seen.
That's like a big thing now.
Sugar isn't an issue
at all. People are going on full carnivore diets. Yeah.
I think that could be a problem. That looks like it could be a problem. It seems to shut your thyroid down.
Sure.
Which seems to be a fucking problem. Yeah, which is weird, but anyway.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is interesting
stuff. Yeah.
I don't watch many podcasts. I read clinical
scientific stuff.
Well, I'm an idiot. Yeah. So when you get these special offers on the Harvard journals, £35 for a year, I'm in.
Really?
And I just watch them all and read them up on the subjects I know.
Yeah.
People say, "Well, what you know about this?" I say, "No, fuck all."
So what are the subjects? So you're shit hot on the nutrition?
No, not shit hot. Only on the nutrition.
On the specific part of
heart
disease.
Okay. Only for that.
Okay.
So they say, like, what about diabetes? Well, it's similar because it's linked to it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. All diabetics have got heart disease. So it's linked. So you're on about for the inflammatory marker of sugar. It's horrific.
Yeah.
If you've got a problem.
Yeah.
If you want it won't do you any harm at all. None. That seems to be what the evidence shows.
Yeah.
You follow me? Yeah.
Sure.
So if you've got a problem, if you're a fatty that's inflamed, you need to watch your sugar intake.
Yeah.
If you're not,
you're all right.
Well, I think all those billion fucking Chinese that work in the rice fields will prove you that. Yeah. So
what other stuff you read up on the journals?
Heart disease mainly.
Yeah.
I like to study influence of drugs for things as well and how it functions, and because I've seen a lot of. I made a post the other day actually. I don't go on Facebook much. When I do, if I see something, but often they just get bypassed because some lads were on about the knee injuries that they've got.
Yes.
And they're talking about the rehabilitation, But nobody mentions the protocols that some of the people use in the other countries, which is just not covered in the UK.
Yeah.
People often need to go outside the box and see the protocols of doctors in other countries because it can be shocking. If you pay a few £100 and get a consultation with these guys in other countries, it can really open your mind to how different it is. Because they were talking about damage to the ACLs and things like that. And I said, nobody's mentioning the protocol that they use in other countries where they use the 19-no testosterones, which is decadurablin.
Yeah.
But we're not talking
these are steroids.
Anabolic steroids, but we're not talking about a supraphysiological dose like a bodybuilder would use. You're not talking 2 grams a week and fucking looking like the Hulk. You're talking about a minute dose to help the recovery. And some
do they inject it into the knee?
No, it's just, but it'd be into the intramuscular
muscle. Yeah,
but this has to be done through a doctor. But in some countries, that's the first port of call if you're an athlete.
Really?
They would get you on that because it cushions the joint whilst it's recuperating.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And some conversations I've had with doctors about this are amazed that isn't involved in the protocol. They're like, what? And there's no nandrolone decanate at 50 milligrams a week for 10 weeks whilst, no. They're like, well, that's amazing.
Really?
I can't believe you don't do that. And you mentioned it to some of our doctors and you might as well have gone blah, 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 bananas.
Yeah.
Not a clue. They're like,
why is that?
I've no fucking idea. You mentioned this. Hey, I can't. It is nandrolone decanate is aggressive to the vessels, the blood vessels, more than testosterone. So I can't touch that.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Whoa. Yeah. So you can trust me on that. I've got heart disease. Right? But a lot of people, you mentioned anabolic steroid, and people fucking shit themselves.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between using it for physiological dose for recovery and a supraphysiological dose for a guy that's going on the Mr. Olympia stage. It's taking 100 times too much.
Yeah. Sure.
But in our culture, it's an anabolic steroid.
Is there a difference between use and abuse?
Exactly that.
Yeah.
The abuse is insane what they use. They'll use 1 gram a week or more. I'm on about 50 milligrams. That's what I'm talking about, guys that would use in a protocol.
Yeah.
But it's not involved in our recuperations at all. And I find that weird. Yeah, you want to be having pineapple and turmeric. What the fuck are you talking about? It's bollocks.
Yeah.
No, you need some Decamate.
Yeah.
Whilst you recuperate. And you need an endo to do it for you. Because your bollocks will shut down if you're 25.
Yeah.
Then you need to reset your HP axis in your head. But you don't do this, don't ask Dave down at gym.
Yeah.
You'll be crying into your fucking shreddies.
Yeah.
Your bollocks won't work anymore. Your dick's limp. And you're like, no, that's not what I'm saying. Fucking hell, anybody listening to this, don't go and buy some fucking drugs from gym. Jesus Christ. No, I'm saying that there's protocols in other countries which are just as high ranked as ours in terms of how the world perceives them. First world countries that use totally different protocols to ours.
Yeah.
Totally different. And it fucking works. Yeah, I know a Polish kid the other month that hurt his shoulder and we were back in Poland and come 3 prescriptions, 1 for this, 1 for that, and 3rd one with Deca.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was laughing. I said, I knew you'd get prescribed because in Poland that's what they do. Because they're not fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But our guys, it's like, hey, when, what, who?
Take some ibuprofen.
And it takes, yeah, good luck. Then have a heart attack. That's what it'll give you.
Yeah.
Oh, anabolic steroids.
Yeah.
Oh, you what? You would take this, it's non-steroidal.
Yeah.
It's probably shit then, isn't it? It won't work. Yeah, you know. Yeah. I've got pain in my leg. I want some morphine. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, doctor's giving me this paracetamol. That's going to work. What the fuck? That annoys me, Dan. I'm like, oh, dear me. Oh, dear me. He gets sick of me ranting on about it.
Anyway, going back to what you're doing these days?
Floating around like my mother says, you're like shit in a field. She says, you get everywhere. Yeah.
So you spend half your time in...
Yeah, about half my time in Tenerife.
Yeah.
And get back down it. And the rest of the time really in the UK. It's nice. So I try and keep out the cold because it's nasty.
Sure. Yeah, I don't blame you there. Tenerife sounds a lot better than
sometimes,
the UK.
when it's warm.
But
I like England.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic place to live. We get stuff done.
Yeah.
There's industry. Yeah. People do stuff. And we wake up in the morning, you've got to focus, right, I'm getting this done. Lads say, oh, you're doing loads of seminars. Well, yeah, it gives me a reason to do something. It's nice. You know, people ask me to come and I'll do that. I'll come and get out of bed and not sit around playing with bollocks in the morning. Get up and do something. You know what it's like. Yeah.
So you're going around. Your seminar schedule is crazy. You know, you're just very intensive doing 2 weeks, 3 weeks straight of seminars.
Get on with it. Yeah, you should do it, you lazy cunt. Some of you know more than me. Get on with it. You say, I'm tired after 3 or 4. What a fucking puff. Look at him. Isn't he?
I don't know how
he's
you
near
guys...
a door than me. I'm a bit worried here. It's almost up fucking window. With his guillotine on.
But So I'm kind of, I haven't had a chance to attend any of your seminars. You do most of them up in the north, I think. But I would love to see some.
I don't get invited down here.
Yeah.
It's too offensive. He's offensive. Fucking hell.
What sort of stuff are you teaching, and like what are the sort of lessons that you're trying to pass on to people?
I teach what I know.
Yeah.
So you remember talking about Mauricio talking about the games?
Yeah.
I develop directions as well, and I teach only that. And I'm trying to bring back the older concepts and trying to learn it as a Northern European person that lives in the Northern Europe. These concepts of the 3 phases of fighting. Because interestingly enough, I was trying to point it out to you when you were teaching me today with your guillotine, that you're doing it as well without realising you're doing it.
Sure, yeah.
There's 3 phases of grappling. Read into it.
Yeah.
Kumikata, grip fighting, phase 1. That leads into phase 2, kazushi, posture break, which leads into phase 3, the waza, the technique itself. If you don't follow that, wanking dry, son. That's our favourite expression in the north. Wanking dry. Get your lube before you do that. You've got to get ready. You've got to get hold of them. Yeah. Move them. Then do something.
And does that come from judo?
I don't know. I think it's just jiu-jitsu, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know, Dan. It's just some. It's.
Well, you're the first person I've heard explain.
But I picked it up over time that's the way it's done. Like you've got to get them, upset them, and do your move. If you don't grab them right, you're not getting anywhere. But once you've grabbed him, you've got to get him out of shape, or he's too strong in position. He was showing us this today. This won't work because he'll posture. It's always the same, and you can spend hours learning that third final phase, the waza. Well, it's bollocks if you can't do the first 2. If you master the first 2, you can be an animal in years. Yeah, because you can just be. You see it in UFC, Dan. Ben Askren, Khabib. How do you pronounce it? Yeah, he does it. Damien Maia did it. Just mauled them. The guy's behind, isn't he? Can't get going. Yeah. You see frustration. Do you remember years back when Randy Couture did it to Tito Ortiz? Yes. And he cried after the fight to Ortiz. You could see he was so frustrated. Yeah. Because it were a national level against an Olympic level. Yeah. And they never got into phase 3 because they block it, but they're constantly on back foot. That's what I'd be like with you. If I managed to defend you getting me, I'd be constantly defending, and you'd be controlling me. And first 2 phases, and nobody concentrate. Here's a sweep. Here's another sweep. Here's another sweep. Oh, fuck off. Yeah. Roger Gracie, right? Shut your eyes, and how does he beat you? Mount, strangle, or arm lock. Yeah. Mount, strangle, or arm lock. That end position, the waza, as one great man said to me, you only need one mousetrap, son. You just got to know where to fucking put it. That's it. If you got a shotgun, you've got a shotgun. You need to know all them ways to load it. All them ways. And then first 2 phases are everything. Somebody were talking to me about a podcast John Danaher did. I sat talking with him a long time ago, if I remember it. With John Danaher. When I saw him, I didn't recognise him to start with until they were on about him. I realised I knew him from when he had hair. Yeah. And the rash vest give it away. He said he's always got a rash vest. And I said, I know what this is now. Okay. Because I live in a weird bubble. I just don't really pay attention. Sure. Because he's laughing at me all the time about music, songs I don't know, and this guy, and who the fuck's that? And he's laughing like, where have you been? You live in a cave. Yeah. Like a granddad. Yeah. Come here, granddad. I'll show you how to use your computer. He's always laughing at me. He used to be in at Henzo's, and Gordinho taught there for a while. Okay. So one day I was sat watching telly at Gordinho's mum's, and he came in, and they were talking English, and it was John. John did. Well, Gordinho came in with John because they were talking English in Brazil. This was in Brazil. Yeah, and I'm like, oh right, hey up, and I was watching the program, I'm like, hey up, blah blah, and he started mentioning, so you're from England, blah blah, and he mentioned so what about Gorthorpe? I said, well, that's my teacher. Danaher said. Yeah, and what? Yeah, so he's a smart man, and he knew, the arm lockers. I went, yeah. He said, how do you think they compare it with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man? I said, at Olympic level, it's same, and he went, yeah, I figured that, yeah. And we went out and had some sushi. Because it was a 5-1, you could just eat. Yeah, sushi. Why not? You were like going for McDonald's money, Yeah. I sat with him and having a good chat, and so they run about. He's done a podcast talking about this. Was it with the Joe Rogan fella? It was, wasn't it? Where he talked recently, yeah. And I started to watch bits of it, but I think he missed the first bit. He said something. I didn't watch it all through. I think I needed a good toilet. Actually, we were talking about this phases of fighting, and he started talking about. And the first thing you got to get to the floor. No, the first thing is you've got to get hold of him. You got to make contact. Kumikata's first. Yeah. That was I was like, I'd love to see him again. I said, he fucked up. Yeah. You got to get hold of him first. But bringing this methodology into it really increases the rate of improvement of speed of learning. So I can get, without being a dick, some students I've had that I've got haven't trained that long, and they muller people that have been training for years because they've got very limited phase 3.
Yeah.
They just do a few submissions maybe, but the first 2 phases they understand. So they're a pain in the ass to fight.
Yeah.
Very quickly. That's what they become. Because that's the point. You learn these first 2, and it's grip fighting on the ground and standing. So the seminars I teach is based upon what I know, and it's based often on a lot of first 2 phase fighting of what you're gripping, how, and why.
Yeah.
And then you spar these positions of where very little's taking place. I say to people, if you watch a Olympic level judoka match, or a Olympic level Greco-Roman, or a world class freestyle or jiu-jitsu match, from the start to the finish, 99% of the world's population says the same thing when it's ended. That's the most boring fucking thing I've ever watched in my entire life. Because no, it happens. Because they're just fighting for grip.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
And you go to a lesson, they're like, right, let me show you a sweep. All right, show me how to get hold of him. And let's focus on that. We spend hours with gripping with Steve and Gorthorpe. With fingers. How do I... Yeah, but I'm going to get a stronger grip. What I want to do is I'm going to do a pull-up over a bar with my gi.
Yeah.
Do you know what that'll make you good at? Doing a pull-up over a bar with your gi. You got to do weird shit like you're doing with your fingers.
Yeah.
Ripping cards and yeah. Or, that's because you don't fight in a gi. Or, you know what you need to do? Fight in your gi.
Yeah.
And grip fighting in your gi. Yeah. That'll strengthen your fucking hands. I guarantee you that, because that's how they did it. And that's how they still do it.
Yeah.
Because no, you can't reinvent wheel. That's the way to do it. Yeah, sat in your mum's basement thinking, I know how I'll do it. Yeah. I'll make some device that makes my fingers strong. No. Just do that. Do you want to be good at that? Right, do that.
Yeah.
So that's what I try and get through these.
So everything is based off of that 3 phases.
1, 2, 3, and I try and show and what I'll do is I'll pick a position I know that I understand where I can implement the 3 phases for them. So they can go, and it's always classic sort of core concepts, stuff that people know. And people ask me to come back, and people say, fucking I learned something there. And I'm like, well, good. You know, I'm only standing on the shoulder of giants. You know, it's not that they taught me this, it's that they did it to me.
Yeah.
And over years, you feel it. This is what they're doing. You know, they're not actually gripping like that, they're gripping like this, and this is happening, and you pick it up. You were on about this today with guillotine. You realised over time that this worked better than that. Yeah. And this is what the guy was doing, even though he said he was doing it. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
Sometimes they say, grab the leg this way. And then when they do it on you, you think, that's not what you just told me.
Yes.
You're not. They can't help it, you know.
A lot of people teach how they were taught, not how they do it.
That's right. It's not right, yeah. But they don't do the concepts of the start.
Yeah.
They don't do the first couple of phases at all. There's no... By grip fighting, I don't just mean standing judo grip. I mean on the ground. You've got to engage in what are you holding and why. And they'll say, I grab it like this. And then they go straight... No, explain what you're doing. Otherwise, saw how pecky I were we today. You barely showed me up, you showed me everything. Because I was obsessed with what your hands and your wrists and your elbows were doing. Otherwise, it's just shit.
Yeah.
I can't pick that up properly like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's complex.
Yeah.
Especially when you start using your feet.
Yeah.
We've got our feet involved, haven't we, as well? We're not just doing this. We used to play funny games when we were kids, where in standing, the guy that got the collar and the sleeve before the other one got to stop and slap motherfucker across the face. That made you grip fight hard. Did. Imagine how intense that made it.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Or wrap the knuckles.
Yeah.
Put your hand out.
Yeah.
Right, go. Oh, you didn't want to get it because you got smacked. Right, stand there and take it.
Yeah.
If you flinch, you got it twice. 2 for flinching. Oh, fucking hell, here we go. You know.
That's interesting, yeah. It's cool. But it's true, you know, every technique, there's no techniques in jiu-jitsu that don't involve your hands to some degree. So what you're doing with your hands, it must be very important.
Yeah, and then in the legs with the grips as well.
Yeah.
How are these? I mean, hooks go in here. How do they go in here? What are you lifting? And I'm at the sweep. No, slow down. What are your feet doing? What's extending? You know how you spent 5 minutes explaining the extension of the hip?
Yeah.
You're only on about today. Will you extend the hip? Don't extend the thigh.
Yeah.
I'd have spent 20 minutes explaining that. Because a lot of people will be nodding, Dan. They'll be nodding. And they're nodding because they don't look embarrassed. You go round and you watch them and they're not extending their hip. They're still pushing the leg and you're like, tell them again. So, blew it.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier today that you were in the process of writing a book.
Yeah.
What's that book called?
Surviving the Gracies.
Okay.
I'm doing it. People are like, fucking hell, it's like that Red Belt documentary. This apparently that's some of this kid robbed a load of money and never made a thing. I'm like, no, I'm doing it. I promise you. I'm writing it. Other day I finished a chapter on Carlos because that were hard to write.
Yeah?
Oh, Carlos Gracie, yeah. That took some doing.
So how... Yeah, go on.
Well, I don't want to... it's longer than I wanted it to be, but I didn't want it to turn into fucking some opus. I didn't want it to become like reading Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I don't know, War and Peace. So I'm trying to condense it. So everything I write, I then think, right, how can I make this tighter?
Yeah.
But I'm lucky because one of the blokes I know really well who wrote The Last Wrestler, Marcus Trower, he says he'll edit it for me.
Okay.
So I'm going to chuck a load of shit at him and see what he thinks. But there's a lot done already, but I've got to get it right so people can read it quick and enjoy it, as opposed to it just being this
too long,
drawn out shit. Yeah.
So what other Gracies? You've spoken about a few of them. What others do you have experience with?
I saw Henzo on the mat quite a bit when he was in Baja, and I saw him beat quite a few lads up. He had an epic spar with Kazeka Muniz, no gi, because Kazeka Muniz always got the takedown, but that Henzo always tapped him out on the ground. And they were saying afterwards how what a good fight it was, and I think they were talking about as well how Kazeka Muniz is a strange fella. I think they used to call him Peru over there, because I think that's where all the knockoff goods come from.
Okay.
Because nobody was sure of his background or where he was from. He spoke beautiful American English, but also fluently Portuguese.
Really?
I think Enzo had sent him, you're quite a good guy, because when you first came, we were going to kick the shit out of you. And I think it was but he's an interesting guy too, Kazeka Muniz, because he went and trained with Alexander Karelin up in Siberia.
Wrestling.
And he's got some interesting
Greatest
stories.
Ever, yeah.
About how he could, his friend's, the daughter of the friend of Alexander Karelin, how he could put his hand on her head and lift her off the floor.
Get out.
Put her back down. Yeah, and you think, fuck, talk about grip strength.
Alexander could do that.
Could hold her head and lift her off the floor.
He was a freak.
Yeah, so power's not important, eh? Fucking hell. Isn't there a little story about him having a bear to train with as well, or something like that?
Who, Colin? Yeah. Really?
Yeah. The training partner, I've got a bear. Do you fancy doing it around? No, you're all right, mate. I'll sit this one out. Fucking hell, fire. Yeah,
I wonder if there are any flow rolls there.
Fucking hell, fire. I remember one day, they made the combat team at Baja once they realised there was a little bit of money in it, and a lot of guys used to train in the mornings, no gi, and they had some good sessions.
Was that like a MMA team?
Yeah. But it was a little bit more Vale Tudo as well, so a lot of the headbutts were still involved in that.
Yeah.
But they got like Daryl Gola over, people like that, some world Olympic level wrestlers to show.
Wow.
It was a hell of a session. You should have watched that. Something else. And you got invited to compete. Sorry, to take part a little bit if you wanted.
Yeah.
Especially at the end when they only did the grappling and weren't knocking the shit out of you. And I used to go in and you could spar a little bit with some of them yogi. And I got reasonably friendly with Babalu.
Okay.
Yeah, he got on very well with he's a fucking funny bloke, Babalu. He's a great big fella.
Yes.
And when he speaks, he's a little bit like Mike Tyson. You're looking for a bloke behind him. So where's that voice coming from? Yeah. He speaks good English as well, actually. And I used to get to spar with him a little bit with my guard and that. Because he wanted to pick me up off the floor and carry me to the window. It was 3 stories up, Gracie Bar.
Yeah.
And he was looking at me and looking out the window, until I gathered what he were on about. I'll just fucking throw you out here. You need to open your guard, And he said to me, it's not like you can do something when your feet aren't touching the floor. Yeah. And I thought, that's true. Obviously not with the Yorkshire accent again. But what was interesting about Babalu is, God, I hope he doesn't hear this and then beat me up when he sees me. Fucking hell. He fought in the UFC down in London, didn't he?
Yeah.
Beat the shit out of Elvis Sinisic.
Yeah.
Now, Babalu's a really religious bloke. He's got, I think it's Psalm 26 on his back. But in Portuguese, years I walked through the valley of the shadow of death.
Yeah.
Tattoo on his back. And from what I gather, he made a right mess of Elvis Sinisic. I think he fractured his orbital socket, didn't he? He caved his face and he basically finished his career. He had to get reconstructive surgery and all sorts.
Yeah. And
he went into a bit of depression after that, Babalu, Yeah. Because he went away and he didn't fight. So when he come back on the mat about a few months later, on one Saturday morning, he was training like a fucking nutcase. People like, where have you been? And he said, well, I stopped fighting because I didn't know whether it was right for me to, in the eyes of Jesus, to hurt another human being so bad.
Wow.
I don't know whether it was right. So I've been away talking to Jesus.
Yeah.
And some smart ass and parked up with, oh yeah, so what did Jesus say? Yeah.
In Portuguese.
This is what Babalu says, well, Jesus told me that I'm a fighter, and that's what I'm born to do. He says, so next time I step into the cage, he says, unless the referee stops it, I'm going to kill him. And no word of a lie, right? He then looked at me and said, do you want to spar then? And I went,
fuck no.
No, you're all right. No, you're all right, mate. Now I'm going home in a minute. Fucking hell, yeah. I hope he remembers me. I hope these lads remember me. Because I was like to them, I think I was the gringo that weren't American.
Yeah.
I don't know if they knew I weren't American, you know, but I liked Babalu. He was fascinating. He was ex-special forces, you know, as well.
Yeah.
Ex-like parachute regiment.
He's a scary dude.
Yeah. But he's going very, very well with Gordo. Yeah, Gordo gave me beatings.
Did you ever meet Elio, Gracie?
Elio, no.
No.
No, I think he was more from the other side of the family, so no.
Yeah.
Carl's brothers used to come in quite a bit. There was Crowlin and Hillian. And he was, you could see that they had a lot of respect for him. They often used to bring up conceptual stuff up with him that people were a little bit stuck with. Grey areas.
Yeah.
One of Gordo's students, Celcino Vinicius, probably the best half-guard player ever.
Yeah.
Like a little fucking hobbit. He had a particular strange sweep that he did. I don't know if guys have ever studied this, but they need to. Which was the original deep half guard before it got called a deep half guard. He used to sit up onto his elbow and sort of strangely get up and do a fireman's carry, but with his head on the wrong side, and swept everybody with it. Everybody,
really?
Ever so strange to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, he swept everybody. By everybody, I mean fucking everybody. I mean, I think he's won world title 5 times, so if it didn't work, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
And I remember that Steve Campbell was on this mat with me. Same mat, so have Steve Campbell if you get a chance. Ilian was there. And he's sort of, I think they regard him as a strange mind for jiu-jitsu. And they got in a huddle, and I think and for what we could see, they were discussing Celso sweep. And it was sort of like, what would you do? And it was weird, because he played around with it for a bit with a couple of lads, and then he went, turn away and back out the guard. And that was fantastic to see. That lack of ego.
Gordinho stood.
No, Ilion basically said, in this scenario, you need to back out the guard.
Yeah.
It was terrific to see the lack of ego.
Yeah.
And the advancement of wanting to know the best technique available for the fight there. To basically say, walk away.
That's one of my favourite techniques.
Yeah. Back out.
Yeah.
Back out the guard. You're not going to win there.
Especially from like these days, from leg entanglements.
Leg entanglements, yeah.
You know, from when people are attacking heel hooks.
Spin and kick your foot out.
Get the fuck out of there.
Get the fuck out of it. Yeah.
Like, you're in too deep.
Don't
stop
get out.
Stop digging. Get the fuck out.
Stop digging. But it was brilliant to see brilliant to see those men, because there were 3 or 4 Gracies discussing, to see them, how it was all, there was no ego for the fight. It was, we must win. What do we do? And no ego interfered with the process of finding the answer, which was very negative and almost coward. We've got to back out.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do. Not what we're men. No.
Yeah.
It wasn't even in it. It was to be back out. Yeah, you saw some interesting stuff. What else did we get to? One of the ones that made me laugh as well is my old dad. He's funny, my dad. Gordo only taught here about 15 years ago. But he did come back onto the shores, I know, because they did the Abu Dhabi, I think, in about 2006, 2007 down in Nottingham. And I know the lads that weren't competing.
The ADCC?
That's it.
2011, yeah.
There was one before then, wasn't it?
The Nottingham one was 2011.
Was it really 2011? I thought it were after that. Bloody hell. Sorry, before then. Good God. Anyway, yeah. So in 2011 then, the lads that weren't fighting, or some of them that were fighting later in the week, they were on the mat at Victor Estimer's in Mansfield, a massive matted area it was. And I got a phone call from Paul Cole. I were in my mum's house in Doncaster. Somebody wants to torture him with Gordo. Basically saying, get your ass down here.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you, dickhead. Come on. And so I went down with my dad, because my dad knows him well as well. So I got down there, and it was quite interesting because it's a huge mat, and Gordo was on the mat sparring. And they were doing quite long rounds, and my dad was sat with his arms over the wall watching Gordo spar and fight with the guy. And it was ever so funny because they were really going for it. They were getting more and more heated, and it went on for about 10 minutes. And it was back and forward, and then time was called and it stopped. And my dad said to me, I tell you what, he says, he did well there, Gordo. He says, we started to get better at that bloke. He said, but I tell you what, for a few seconds it was, close. You didn't know which way it were going to go, because that stocky lad looked like he knew what they were doing, And I looked up at Barry and I went, that's Enzo Gracie, that. And my dad just went, yeah, he's pretty good. Silly old.
He's won the watch.
Yeah. But Pedro Pano, you got to spar with him. He was the absolute champion in Brazil for quite a while. And he was phenomenal because he played guard like he weighed nothing. So his game was like he was a little dude.
Yeah. He's a big
sleeve
dude.
And inverted, and he just triangled the shit out of you or roll you over.
Yeah.
Feitosi were like fighting a fucking empty jacket. Like he weren't studying it. Flavio Almeida he was ever so strong and had a very explosive game. They all just beat the shit out of you, to me.
Yeah.
There's so many of them,
Awesome.
Yeah, so many of them.
You got to tell the story of you competing in Brazil with Gordo's mum. You told me at the gym.
Oh dear, yeah. I weren't a particularly great competitor, and the best I ever did was a third place at the Brazilian Nationals. I think it was 2003, 2004.
But I was saying that's still pretty impressive for a gringo to go there and take one of their medals.
Well, yeah, I mean that was the best I ever did, and I really went for it. And
what belt was that?
Purple belt.
Yeah,
and
it's legit.
2003, 2004. I have to remember. I think it was. Or was it before? Let me just have a think. If I had to guess, I'd say it was 203.
Yeah,
203. Yeah. Yeah. So I'd been and fought, and I'd come back, and yeah, you have to bear in mind that Daisy Lima, which is Gordo and Gordinho's mum, two of her sons are world champions. They fought hundreds and hundreds of matches, so the house is full of geese and gold medals.
Yeah.
I think there's probably 2 or 3 4 world titles between them, and however many Brazilian titles, however many Pan American titles, on and on and on and on. So I came back from the tournament, and as I walked through the door, she's on the phone to her sister, and I think she said to her sister, "Ben's come back in," And then Daisy says to me, "How did you get on?" And I said, "Well, I come third." And then her sisters obviously said to her on the phone, "How did he do?" And Daisy said, "Oh, he lost." Because of course to her, if you didn't win, you just lost, Third, it's just,
that was just your best achievement, just ripped out from underneath you.
Deflated. You shite, son. Back to England with you,
No dinner for you tonight.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dear. We had a bit of a kick-off and all in the yacht club with one of the FJJ Rio tournaments. I fought a kid. It was only like a state fight, and I fought a kid in a semi-final, and he beat me, but he was really stalling. It was heavy. It was a heavy advantage they were beating me on. And as it finished, I called him a motherfucker in Portuguese, and he didn't like that at all. And he started kicking off, and I thought, "Oh, this is going to go off this." After the fight finished, I was stood in my area, and they come across to have a word, that group. And it was as if they sort of, I don't know, as if I'd grew 6 foot as they got close to me. They sort of stopped. I thought, what's happened? I turn around, and there's a big fella from the north of England called Chris Crossan.
Yeah.
He's actually part of Eric Paulson's. Yeah,
he's a catch wrestler.
That's him, yeah.
Big guy.
And he was stood behind me growling, and I thought, fucking, I'm glad you were there. And he said to me, "I don't know what they're saying, Ben, but first one that steps towards me is getting left up." And I think they fucking knew it, yeah. I've never been so happy to see a Geordie in my life. Well, I shouldn't say that it's from Stockton, but I'm glad he was here that day.
Yeah.
I'd have been a statistic, I'm telling you. They'd probably ate me.
There must be some pretty cool street fight stories from just kind of your time in general, but imagine that in Brazil.
They didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, nutcases. Well, one of the lads over there, he were called Vinci Deutsch, 22, and he were... I learnt that they called him that afterwards because that was the number on some medical document for someone that were deranged.
Okay.
There was section 22 or something.
Okay.
So, yeah. Because where we were, I was about 3 blocks away from the gym. Just walking distance.
Yeah.
And a couple of blocks over in between, there was like a bread shop owned by a Portuguese guy that you could sit outside of in the night and people could get a beer and have a bit of a barbecue.
Yeah.
Churrasco, as they call it. And they'd put like plastic picnic chairs and tables out there, and people sit around. So you've got locals. Some gringos might be there, but mainly locals. And often it was in between me going and coming back. So as I'd come back, I might stop and talk to the guy who ran the barbecue place because he helped me learn Portuguese. And maybe I'd buy a bit of meat or whatever, or have a drink of coconut water or something with him. And I always noticed that Vinci Deutsch sometimes would turn up. He looked like Valid Ishmael.
Yeah.
Vinci Deutsch, 22. And they were a dog around that area. They were always sniffing around trying to get... You're obviously a street dog.
Yeah.
It were well enough fed because it got scraps and everybody used to fuss with it. And I don't know where it slept, but it never died because it were in Rio.
Yeah.
And then whenever it saw Vinci Deutsch, whenever it saw 22, it just fucking... Its tail would go between its legs and its ears would go back and it'd fuck off really quick. And once I asked God, I said, "What is the story of that dog?" He says, "Oh, Jesus." He says, right, so 22 were like in his mid-20s. He said, and when he were about... mid-teens, he was basically the same age as Gordinho. He said, we were at a tournament and he put a rear naked strangle on a kid and fucked up, missed it, it went wrong. And so he should have won and then ended up losing by points and it gutted him. They were right bothered in the car. And Carlinos never made a big deal out of it, but it obviously really pissed the kid off that 22 that he'd missed the strangle. Yeah. So he realised he needed to practice it, and all of us in gym were like, "Fuck off." He said, "So what he'd been doing is he'd been practicing it on this fucking dog." So this poor dog in the street, he'd run up behind it, right, and strangle it unconscious. To the point where whenever this dog saw him, it just shit itself and ran off. Because he'd be hiding behind a wall, 22, and he'd jump out and practice his strangle on this fucking lunatics. Yeah. Yeah, absolute fucking lunatics. Yeah. Honourable men. Oh, no, lunatics. Yeah, I'll get me strangle, right? I'll do it on this dog. Every time he saw him, he sees his ears go back and he went, whoop, off.
I bet the dog got pretty good at defending RNCs.
Well, either that or it's dead. One of the two. One of the two, I think, yeah.
Awesome, man. Anyway, dude, we've done almost 2.5 hours now.
Is that 2.5 hours?
2.5 hours. It goes very, very fast, man. That was awesome, man. It's so good to hear your story and to kind of, like I said, fill in another piece of that puzzle, the history of UK Jiu-Jitsu. And yeah, man. Any last words you want to say before you go? Any advice or...
Fucking hell, don't listen to me. I'm full of shit.
Don't say that. I've been listening to you for 2.5 hours.
No, it was great talking to you. Awesome, I hope it helps some folk. And anybody wants to ask me, then I tell them.
Yeah,
I'll tell you the truth about it. Anything. Yeah, anybody wants to message you and ask me, I'll
awesome.
I'll come back one day and we'll do it again and 100%. Talk some more shit.
I love that.
Somebody might want some other questions because there's a lot in there. I forget, but if you prompt it, I remember.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You could do stuff all day long. Yeah. But man, I just want to say thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me, young man.
Nah, awesome.
Just an old man now. Yeah.
Nice one, buddy. Cheers.
Perfect.
That is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you want to find out more about Ben or if you want to follow him, then you can check him out on his Facebook page, which is Old School BJJ Ben Poppleton. If you live in the UK, there's a very good chance that you will get the opportunity to go to one of his seminars. He does a few seminar tours around the country every year. I haven't actually had the chance to go to any of them, but I'd really like to go. I've only heard good things about him. So if you have an opportunity to go to one of his seminars, then give it a go. Why not? He also runs his seminar camps in Tenerife. If you want to find out more about them, then you can go to that Facebook page, which is BJJ Camp Tenerife, or you can go to the website, which is bjjcamptenerife.com. I'm actually in talks with Ben on potentially going over there and teaching on one of those camps with him. So stay tuned for that, but that might be quite cool. There's a lot worse places to be rolling around than Tenerife. As always, if you want to contact the podcast, you can email me, which is podcast@raspberryape.com. You can check me out on Instagram or Twitter @raspberry_ape. You can go to my website, which is raspberryape.com, or my YouTube page, where you will find this and many other podcasts and many other videos, which is youtube.com/raspberryape. You can find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, and now Spotify. So that's an easy way to listen. If you have Spotify, you can check it out on Spotify now. And if you're not already subscribed, then subscribe or follow, whichever the particular platform you listen to does. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will catch you next time. Take it easy.